Chapter 1242. This was the voice of countless people. Two completely different types of beauties. They were two beauties with completely different temperaments and clothes. At this moment, Yi Qing Luo had completely outshone Zi Qianqian. The crowd all felt that Yi Qing Luo was using some underhanded tricks. She couldn't win Zi Qianqian in terms of ability. At least in terms of looks, she had to win Zi Qianqian. If Yi Qing Luo knew what everyone was thinking, she would definitely spit out blood. She would appear in such a way and even rush to the stage at this time. It was completely, because of that shameless beast. Yi Qing Luo stared fiercely at the direction of the elder. Dmo Xian wore Senior Mo's face as he chatted with the elder beside him as he sat down. As though he sensed Yi Qing Luo's gaze. He raised his head and met her eyes. Immediately, her shimmering peach blossom eyes curved into a demonic arc. His obsidian-like eyes shone brightly. His slender fingers gently caressed his rosy lips. Smiling as though he hadn't had enough. Yi Qing Luo's face turned red in an instant. Now, she completely understood that this shameless beast was absolutely not someone she could provoke. She wanted to take advantage of her inconvenience to challenge Dmo Xian's authority. The final result was. Last night, she herself was provoked by Dmo Xian to the point that she didn't want to. In the end, Dmo Xian acted as though nothing had happened as he turned over to sleep. Damn it. This was clearly a deliberate act of revenge, right? She couldn't fall asleep because of the torment last night. With great difficulty, he finally managed to fall asleep. This time, he almost missed today's match. Taking a deep breath, Yi Qing Luo expressed that she must maintain her composure in such a serious challenge. Student Yi Qing Luo, where are the other students in Devil class? Yun Duan looked around and didn't see any other students. Yi Qing Luo casually combed her hair into a ponytail as she replied, "For today's competition, I'll be fine alone." One person. Has Yi Qing Luo gone mad? I think she's too arrogant and conceited. You think that you can defeat Lu Shuiyu, who is at the 9th grade of the Earth Profound Realm, and you also think that you can easily defeat Zi Qianqian, who is in the class of gods. The class of gods is called the class of gods because the class of gods is a place for godlike people. No matter how powerful Yi Qing Luo is, she's just a mortal. The onlookers and the spectating class were in an uproar. Those who were originally looking at Yi Qing Luo with astonished gazes had all changed. Replacing it was disdain towards Yi Qing Luo's conceit. Even Zi Qianqian, who was standing opposite Yi Qing Luo, also revealed some ridicule because of her words. Her pair of beautiful eyes meaningfully swept past Yi Qing Luo and fell onto the direction of the main courtyard seating. It seemed like she hadn't misjudged him yesterday. Between Yi Qing Luo and Supreme Mo of the main courtyard, there must be some ambiguous relationship. Yesterday's Supreme Mo carried Yi Qing Luo intimately as he left. Today, the two of them rushed to the West Billow Square at the same time. Only a ghost would believe that there was nothing between them. Under Zi Qianqian's probing gaze, Yi Qing Luo frowned slightly. Somehow, she felt that something was being spied on by Zi Qianqian. Just as she was about to ponder deeply, Yun Duan's voice rang beside her ear. You want to challenge student Zi Qianqian alone? Student Yi Qing Luo, are you sure? Yi Qing Luo regained her senses, her eyes filled with smiles as she nodded towards Yun Duan. Yes, I'm sure. Seeing Yi Qing Luo's determined gaze, Yun Duan didn't ask any further. After reporting his arrival, he took his leave. Chapter 1243. Student Yi Qing Luo, I really don't know if I should say that you are too confident, or should I say that you are smart. Zi Qianqian's brows revealed a trace of ridicule. Yi Qing Luo raised her brows. What do you think? Being able to defeat Lu Shuiyu doesn't mean that your strength has already surpassed the 9th grade of the Earth Profound Realm. In the end, Zi Qianqian suddenly lowered her voice and revealed a meaningful smile on her delicate face. You know very well how you beat Lu Shuiyu. Yiqing Luo blinked her eyes, tilted her head and smiled sweetly. So? You. The smile on Zi Qianqian's face froze, and a word escaped from between his teeth. She originally thought that after hearing what she said, Yiqing Luo would definitely be flustered. In fact, he would even beg her not to tell the truth about the matter. Unexpectedly, Yiqing Luo was actually so calm. And he didn't take it seriously. Did she really think that I wouldn't dare to expose her relationship with Supreme Mo? Zi Qianqian clenched his fists tightly. He had once been suppressed by Yiqing Luo in King Ling's tomb, and now in the arena competition, because of his looks, he was suppressed by Yiqing Luo once again. This time, she definitely had to get back at him and prove herself. She was absolutely stronger than Yiqing Luo. Zi Qianqian's expression became extremely serious. A dazzling and resplendent profound light broke out from his body. Boundless energy instantly enveloped the entire arena. Because of Yiqing Luo and Lu Shuiyu's match yesterday, the arena stage was severely damaged, and because of the strong profound energy, it almost hurt the spectator seats. Today's barrier was formed by two more student elders. The entire arena was a completely different space from the outside world. Thus, the profound energy Zi Qianqian released became extremely strong in this arena. The entire arena shook because of this surge of profound energy. This power, Yiqing Luo was slightly astonished. To be honest, she really did not take Zi Qianqian seriously. Even though they were students of the class of gods, they were still students. Although Zi Qianqian was also the vice-captain of the third mercenary group, the Azura group, he was not a match for Zi Qianqian. But to be able to reach the position of vice leader, especially in the rankings, it was a well-known mercenary group. No matter what he did, there would always be someone to do it for him. Even if Zi Qianqian was extremely talented, her actual combat experience was definitely not comparable to hers. In any case, he was someone who had lived two lives. However, she really didn't expect, Zi Qianqian's profound rank had actually reached the 7th grade of the Earth Profound Realm. Zi Qianqian was extremely talented, but she was only 17 this year. At such a young age, he had already reached the 7th grade of the Earth Profound Realm. As expected of a student from the class of gods. Rumor has it that it seems to be a green rank Profound Heart Jade. In the entire Nirvana realm, one might not be able to find more than 10 people with a 4th grade Profound Heart Jade. Yiqing Luo wielded the glower flame fan and released a whirlwind, forming a protective film that blocked off the profound qi. She narrowed her eyes and thought carefully about how to deal with Zi Qianqian. Zi Qianqian was at the 7th grade of the Earth Profound Realm while she was at the 4th grade of the Earth Profound Realm. It was 3 grades higher, but the difference was like the distance between heaven and earth. It was equivalent to, she had hit Zi Qianqian. Zi Qianqian would at most be injured. However, if Zi Qianqian's attack landed on her body, even if he didn't die, he would lose half his life. Fighting Zi Qianqian was different from fighting the mysterious person who impersonated Lu Shuiyu. After all, the mysterious man had a guilty conscience and did not dare to reveal his identity. Yiqing Luo grasped that mentality and secretly poisoned him to settle that mysterious man. But, Zi Qianqian was different. Chapter 1244. Earth Profound 7th Grade. No wonder she's a student from the class of gods. Earth Profound Realm cultivators are a dime a dozen right now. I heard that the number 1 beauty's profound jade heart is a green grade. Yiqing Luo is also Earth Profound 4th grade, right? With a difference of 3 grades, Yiqing Luo is bound to lose. I remember the headmaster said that the number 1 beauty in the class of gods can only be considered as below average. Oh my god. The middle and lower levels are all Earth Profound 7th grade high-level profound practitioners. Don't tell me, those middle and upper level students have all become Sky Profound Supremes. The crowd was stunned by Qianqian's profound grade. A 17-year-old Earth Profound 7th grade cultivator, this could be said to be a genius among geniuses. Immediately, the low profound class 2 students were unconvinced. What's 3 grades? Yesterday's high profound class 2 class monitor Lu Shuiyu was an Earth Profound 9th grade cultivator, but she still lost. Madame Qing Luo will definitely win. She can even defeat an Earth Profound 9th grade cultivator. Madame Qing Luo will definitely beat the students from the class of gods until they are begging for mercy. The low profound class 2 students have been training with Yi Fengyu recently, which was why they were able to make such rapid progress. And Yi Fengyu said that these training methods were learned from Yi Qing Luo. Moreover, Peach was considered as someone who had a say in the low profound class 2. After all, the 3000 Peach Blossom was a very famous name in the pugilistic world. Peach was also constantly brainwashing the students from the low profound class 2. Therefore, the students from the low profound class 2 had long become the devil's class. Or more accurately, Yi Qing Luo's number 1 escort team. Listening to the quarrel below the stage, Qianqian sneered, "That kind of trash. Even if they are Earth Profound 9th grade cultivators, they are only equivalent to our Earth Profound cultivators in the class of gods. Don't naively think that you can use the same method to deal with Lu Shuiyu against me." Yi Qing Luo raised her eyebrows disapprovingly. Then why not? Give it a try. Qianqian pursed her red lips, knowing that there was no way to humiliate Yi Qing Luo with words. On the contrary, she would be angered by Yi Qing Luo. She snorted coldly and didn't say any more nonsense. Her white lotus-like dress fluttered, and a long sword appeared in her hand. The white long sword was dazzling, like a graceful swan. It directly attacked towards Yi Qing Luo's face. Yi Qing Luo squinted her eyes slightly, without any intention of evading. In the blink of an eye, the long sword had already closed in. The sword brought with it a terrifying aura, as if it could engulf her in an instant. "Qing, Madame Qing Luo. What is Yi Qing Luo doing?" The low profound class 2 students and the other onlookers suddenly stood up. He couldn't understand why Yi Qing Luo didn't dodge Qianqian's attack. Could it be that he knew he was going to lose, so he was too lazy to resist? Just as everyone was in shock, that sword gleam which was nearing Yi Qing Luo suddenly turned into a sword move. In a split second, the long sword split into dozens of swords. Following Qianqian's command, those 10 overswords enlarged in front of Yi Qing Luo's eyes. Phantom Sword Formation. Someone in the crowd shouted out the name of this sword move. Many swordsmen immediately became excited. Phantom Sword Formation, among the swordsmen, wasn't considered as a particularly rare sword move. But most swordsmen could only transform their swords into 10 at most. But Qianqian's sword formation had at least 30 swords. The onlookers couldn't help but sigh. She was indeed a student from the class of gods. Even an ordinary sword move could create such a powerful sword formation. Chapter 1245. Boom boom boom. The raging profound light shattered the arena into pieces. The majestic profound energy surged like a tide. The whole ring was swept by a hurricane in an instant, and the horrible atmosphere pervaded the surroundings. "Sister." Yi Fengyu suddenly stood up, which affected the wound on his body. He frowned in pain and took a deep breath, but still stubbornly wanted to rush to the ring. "Yi Fengyu, calm down." Dong Huanglang came to the waiting area of the low profound class 2 and stopped Yi Fengyu. "My sister is on the ring, how can I calm down?" Yi Fengyu's pale face was enduring the severe pain. He struggled to open Dong Huanglang's hand, and his eyes were scarlet. He saw with his own eyes that his sister was covered by that sword array. If those dozens of long swords hit his sister's body, sister, she Yi Fengyu did not dare to think about it, and his eyes were red as he struggled to break free from Dong Huanglang's hand. Dong Huanglang held him tightly, and seeing that he was still not obedient, he simply circled him in his arms. Before he could hold him tightly, Dong Huanglang's collar was suddenly pulled, and he was forced to let go of Yi Fengyu. Following the pull, he stepped back a few steps and fell into a hard embrace. A hand tightly clasped Dong Huanglang's waist. A cold voice sounded in his ear, "If he wants to go, let him go." Jing. Dong Huanglang turned his head to look at the indifferent man behind him, and frowned. "He is injured like this. If he forcibly rushes to the ring, he will die. That has nothing to do with you." Qi Jing narrowed his eyes and looked at the boy who was running to the ring. If he wants his sister to lose this match, and finally get her profound heart jade dug out by Shangwan Liuli, and break her meridians, then let him go. Yi Fengyu's footsteps stopped. His body, which could not even stand steadily, swayed slightly. He mustered all his strength to turn around and look at Qi Jing. The boy's pale face was without any blood. He panted heavily and stared at Qi Jing for a long time. "What do you mean by that? Don't you know Yi Qing Luo's strength and character as her brother? Do you think she would do something she's not sure of?" Qi Jing answered Yi Fengyu's question with rare patience. Yi Fengyu was stunned. It seemed like, no. Yi Qing Luo would not do anything that she was not sure of. As for what she wanted to do, she would always set up countless plans. For example, a plan to do it. If the plan failed, what was the way out, and so on. She always had a well-organized plan. Since you trust her, just sit here quietly and wait for her. Seeing that Yi Fengyu had calmed down, Qi Jing grabbed Dong Huanglang's wrist and walked towards the waiting area of low profound class 2. Vaguely, he could still hear Qi Jing's low voice drifting into his ears with the wind. He said, "Wait for her to return in triumph." On the arena, the terrifying profound qi continued to expand and spread. The smile at the corner of Zi Qianqian's mouth became even wider, and the murderous aura that shot out from the depths of his eyes was obscured by the profound light. What super genius! What contract divine artifacts, divine dragons, and a super genius who formed a blood pact with a sacred beast. In the hands of Zi Qianqian, Yi Qing Luo was nothing. Thinking of the Ling King's tomb, how Yi Qing Luo arrogantly taught the god-slaying group a lesson, how she suppressed her prestige, how the god-slaying group became a joke. Chapter 1246. She was just a bitch who could be loved by thousands of people. What right did she have to receive so much praise and attention? Yi Qing Luo actually treated her as a clown. Teasing her. Zi Qianqian sneered as she injected her profound energy into the long sword once again. An increasingly dazzling sword ray was released. The remaining 10 overlong swords followed her control and formed a circle in midair. Swoosh! A piercing sound was heard as those long swords dashed towards the place where the explosion happened earlier. It was obvious that they wanted to put Yi Qing Luo to death. The crowd's exclamations stopped. The surrounding students also held their breaths. As for the surrounding elders and masters who were in charge of safety, their expressions had a huge change. If there were any students who lost their lives in the competition, it would have a huge impact on the academy's reputation. Those elders and masters who were in charge of safety immediately rushed into the array barrier in an attempt to stop that sword ray. You overestimate yourself. Her sweet voice was tinged with coldness. In that hurricane, it was clearly transmitted into everyone's ears. Those elders and masters who rushed into the array barrier immediately stopped in their tracks. That voice. It was Yi Qing Luo's voice. She wasn't dead. Everyone's vision was concentrated on the arena, searching for Yi Qing Luo's traces. The entire West Lawn public square was as though it had been rehearsed in advance, not a sound could be heard. just as everyone's hearts were clenched tightly, feeling extremely anxious. They saw the place where the illusory sword array exploded earlier. As the dust dispersed, a slender figure gradually appeared. The red dress in the hurricane was like a blossoming beautiful poppy. She was like a proud and aloof poppy flower, standing there elegantly. Her expression was calm and indifferent, like the wind and clouds. It was as if everything around him didn't matter at all. No. It couldn't be said to be of no importance. To put it more accurately, it was a kind of self-confidence which was beyond the comprehension of ordinary people. At this moment, everyone could see with their own eyes. Those 10 over illusory swords struck towards Yiqing Luo's face with irresistible force. Those 10 over illusory swords were aimed at all her vital points. Yiqing Luo slowly narrowed her eyes as her lips curled into a smirk, revealing a trace of disdain and ridicule. She raised her right hand, and a devouring flame fan that flickered with an enchanting red light suddenly unfurled. A half-arc of red light flashed past. It was just a gentle block. Dozens of illusionary longswords directly blocked the front of the glowing flame fan. The dazzling sword aura clashed with the devouring flame fan. The deathly silence in the square suddenly exploded into an uproar. What's going on? I'm not seeing things, am I? He managed to block the advanced phantom sword formation that can create more than 30 illusionary swords with just his weapon? The phantom sword array has no way to get close to Yiqing Luo. My God, he's too strong. She's after all an earth profound 7th grade cultivator and she was easily blocked. Yiqing Luo is indeed Yiqing Luo. The gasps of admiration from the surrounding crowd caused Zi Qianqian's expression to turn extremely ugly. Her beautiful eyes were suffused with a cold glint as she stared fiercely at Yiqing Luo, unable to believe that the mirage sword array which she was so proud of was actually blocked by Yiqing Luo. Moreover, he blocked it so easily. He didn't look like he was struggling at all. What Yiqing Luo said earlier, was she ridiculing her? Ridiculing her for overestimating herself? No. She absolutely could not lose to Yiqing Luo. This was her only chance. To prove to Nangong Firen that she was stronger than Yiqing Luo. She absolutely could not lose. Zi Qianqian's eyes were piercingly cold, as though it could condense into ice. Chapter 1247. Tisk, Zi Qianqian, are you a swordsman? Aren't you tired of using the same moves? Or do you have no other ultimate moves? Yiqing Luo snorted in disdain as her lips curled. Other than transforming a bunch of broken swords, what else can you do? A swordsman is a swordsman. Ha! The crowd was stunned. What was Yiqing Luo saying? She actually insulted Zi Qianqian. No, that wasn't right. This wasn't considered as an insult. Zi Qianqian had indeed been displaying the phantom sword array from the start to the end. Moreover, those who used long swords were indeed called swordsmen, but wasn't Yiqing Luo a little too arrogant? The phantom sword array could transform into 30 over long swords. Even if she could block the first wave, it didn't mean that she could block the second wave. Very quickly, Yiqing Luo used her actions to express the disdain in her words. Zi Qianqian condensed and injected an even more powerful profound energy, once again transforming into 10 over long swords. Yiqing Luo was blocking the first wave of the phantom sword array, so there was no way she could block the second wave in time. But Yiqing Luo only twitched her lips in disdain as her 5 fingers suddenly tightened the glower flame fan. A powerful profound energy broke through the sky. Immediately, it exploded with a loud bang. The force was majestic and ferocious. All of a sudden, the 30-odd illusory long swords in front of him shattered into pieces. Gradually, they formed into a long sword. With a clang, it fell onto the ground. The moment the long sword left her hand, Zi Qianqian's expression was already filled with shock. She held on to her numb wrist as she quickly retreated a few steps, dispelling the thought of picking up the long sword. Zi Qianqian had been regarded as a genius since young. Her innate talent, her beauty, were her greatest wealth. Numerous people bowed to her. Numerous people racked their brains just to make her smile. But today, standing on this stage, in front of thousands of people, all her pride had been destroyed. The sword move which she was so proud of was easily blocked by Yi Qing Luo. And, the long sword in her hand was shaken off. To a swordsman who used a long sword, this was a great humiliation. She couldn't believe it, and didn't dare to believe it. Yi Qing Luo's ability had actually reached such a stage. He's obviously only a 4th grade Earth Profound Xian practitioner. How could it possibly withstand her attack, which was a 7th grade Earth Profound realm? The rage in Zi Qianqian's chest had already been ignited. She clenched her fists and bit her lower lip. Looking at the sneering Yi Qing Luo, Zi Qianqian didn't hesitate any longer and took out a magic staff from his space pocket. That magic staff was pitch black in color. The surface was outlined with a complex ancient totem, but it was impossible to tell what exactly the totem above it was. The most horrifying thing was that the tip of the staff was a black sphere. It wasn't inlaid with gold or silver, but rather, an open eye. It looked like a human eye, floating at the top of the staff. When Zi Qianqian saw that pair of eyes, there was a clear fear in them. But she forcibly suppressed the fear in her heart as she gripped her staff tightly and raised her eyes to look at Yi Qing Luo with a sneer. Because you're a student of the devil class, as a member of the class of gods, I'll let you have a few moves. I'm not good at swordsmanship. Zi Qianqian waved the staff in her hand, seeing that student Yi Qing Luo is treating this competition extremely seriously. I'll also compete with you seriously. Not good at. You're not good at it, but you can actually display the Mirage Sword Formation's high-level ultimate move, creating over 30 long swords. Chapter 1248. Not serious. Earlier wave after wave of sword array was obviously to put Yi Qing Luo to death. You call this not being serious? The onlookers were surprised and suspicious. All of them stared at the staff in Zi Qianqian's hand. The students from the class of gods rarely fought. As the vice-captain of the Death God mercenary group, Zi Qianqian rarely participated in missions. Naturally, no one could be certain what weapon Zi Qianqian was proficient in. This was the first time many of them had seen this staff. Isn't that the Tianling staff? Suddenly, the elder who was sitting beside Dmo Xian stood up and stared at the staff in Zi Qianqian's hands. I'd never thought that the Sky Mist staff is actually in your hands. Tianling staff. The onlookers were not unfamiliar with this name. This heavenly silk staff was a legendary weapon. Although it was not included in the scope of a divine weapon, the power of the Tianling staff had already far surpassed the power of a legendary grade. That magic staff was rumored to be made from a magical beast's magic crystal. A mana gem was only the size of a finger. Forging a staff would require at least 1,000 mana gems. There was only one magic crystal per magical beast. This was a magic staff that had to be made from over 1,000 magical beasts. Needless to say, one could tell how powerful it was. It's actually the Tianling staff. Yi Qing Luo is going to lose for sure. Even if it's the devouring flame fan, I'm afraid it wouldn't be able to withstand a single blow from the Tianling staff. The onlookers were amazed. Yi Qing Luo also frowned. Tianling staff, there was no introduction to this staff in his memories. However, from the discussions of the surrounding people, it was very clear that this Tianling staff was not an ordinary item. This was the first time Yi Qing Luo saw a cultivator using a staff as a weapon. His heart sank as he frowned. He became even more serious about the upcoming battle. Zi Qianqian's expression softened when he heard the exclamations of the people around him. She arrogantly raised her chin towards Yiqing Luo's direction and gave a cold harumph. "Student Yiqing Luo, I'll let you experience the power of the sky silk staff." He raised the staff in his hand. The huge eye at the top began to blink like a human. Immediately after, a thunderous boom resounded. A bolt of lightning flashed across those blinking eyes. Zi Qianqian sneered and waved his staff towards Yiqing Luo's direction. The electric current made a sizzling sound in the air. If this electric current fell on Yiqing Luo, she would probably be electrocuted into a dried corpse on the spot. Yiqing Luo realized this point. Her expression froze and her pink lips curled into a cold smile. He moved his feet and bent his body. That electric current brushed past Yiqing Luo's shoulder. Yiqing Luo flipped over, and just as she steadied her footing, the second electric current struck again. Yiqing Luo was unhurried as she displayed her footwork and ran back and forth on the stage. The electric current chased after her footsteps. But every single time, it was narrowly avoided by Yiqing Luo. The entire arena was blasted apart by the electric current. The ground was filled with flying stones and dust. But it didn't hurt Yiqing Luo at all. It was so fast that it was like a whirlwind. After attacking for more than 10 times, Zi Qianqian felt that he was like a little puppy being walked by Yiqing Luo. The Tianling staff was indeed very powerful. But using the Tianling staff, her own strength was still a bit too much. Every time she used the power of the Tianling staff, she had to expend a huge amount of profound energy. If this went on for a long time, her profound jade heart would dry up. Zi Qianqian frowned tightly as she stared fiercely at Yiqing Luo's direction. Absolutely could not let her evade again. She gripped the staff tightly and was about to release a stronger electric current. Suddenly, Zi Qianqian felt a murderous intent coming from behind. Chapter 1249. Turning his head back, he saw a red afterimage flashing past his eyes. Her neck felt cold and a faint tingling pain. Zi Qianqian held the Tianling staff and raised it horizontally in front of her. Clang! The dagger drawn by the glower flame fan collided with the Tianling staff. The stirred-up profound qi made both of them take a few steps back. After Zi Qianqian steadied herself, she waved the staff and struck down another bolt of lightning, separating the distance between her and Yiqing Luo. Zi Qianqian's fingers touched her neck and touched the sticky liquid. Her blood. Yiqing Luo had used her footwork to avoid the lightning released by the Tianling staff and was gradually approaching her. If she hadn't reacted fast enough and avoided it, Yiqing Luo's dagger would have directly cut the tendons in her neck. Zi Qianqian squinted her beautiful eyes and wiped the blood on her neck fiercely as a vicious glint flashed past her eyes. That slut actually wanted to kill her in public. Intense hatred and disgust filled her heart. Zi Qianqian gripped the staff tightly and once again condensed profound qi and injected it into the Tianling staff. A ray of black deathly light immediately shrouded the Tianling staff. Then, at the tip of the staff, the eye that looked like a human's eye blinked continuously. The blinking speed was extremely fast. After blinking for a dozen times, that eye suddenly opened wide and fixed its focus in front. In a split second, a ray of black light shot out from that widened eye. Yiqing Luo was shocked by this force. She frowned and stared at the Tianling staff vigilantly. After that collision with the Tianling staff, Yiqing Luo knew that if she used the glower flame fan and the Tianling staff to fight head-on, the glower flame fan would definitely not be the Tianling staff's opponent. It might cause the glower flame fan to break. This Tianling staff was indeed difficult to deal with. Not only could it attack from afar, it could also be used as a close combat weapon, similar to the glower flame fan. Most importantly, the attack of the Tianling staff was obviously much higher than the glower flame fan. Not only her profound grade, it could not match Zi Qianqian's. The quality of the glower flame fan could not be compared to the quality of the Tianling staff. She similarly could not get close to attack, nor could she attack from afar. The sneak attack earlier had made Zi Qianqian vigilant. It would be very difficult for him to launch another sneak attack. Yiqing Luo, I'd like to see how you're going to hide this time. Zi Qianqian's voice was cold. His words had just ended when he saw the tip of the sky mist staff. One after another black light ball kept on shooting outwards, directly attacking towards Yiqing Luo's direction. One by one, the black balls of light poured out of the magic staff like beans being poured out of a jar. It showed no signs of stopping. Yiqing Luo's brows creased as her feet flashed, speedily evading those black light balls. Just as she steadied herself, she heard Yi Feng Yu's panicked voice from the direction of Low Profound Class 1, Sister. Be careful. What followed were the gasps and gasps of disbelief from the crowd. Yiqing Luo keenly sensed something. He quickly dodged to the right. The black ball of light that she dodged just now brushed past her arm. Yiqing Luo could clearly see that when those black light balls passed by her, they actually made a huge turn in mid-air and attacked her once again. This black ball of light actually locked onto him automatically. Yiqing Luo's pupils dilated as she silently cursed that this Tianling staff was simply abnormal. He could only dodge the attacks from the balls of light. On the other side, Zi Qianqian had already stopped releasing the black light balls. She tightened her grip on the Tianling staff. Her face was slightly pale as she swayed her body. Her vision swept across the surroundings. The entire arena had already gathered close to 20 over black light balls, one after another, attacking towards Yiqing Luo's direction. Chapter 1250. Zi Qianqian is despicable. A 7th grade Earth Profound practitioner was actually using the Sky Silk Staff to deal with a 4th grade Earth Profound practitioner. Are you that afraid of losing? What number 1 beauty? I think she's obviously jealous of Yiqing Luo's beauty, so she thought of such a vicious method to deal with Yiqing Luo. Bah! What nonsense are you bunch of brainless Yiqing Luo fans spouting? What does being inferior to others have to do with our number 1 beauty? Our number 1 beauty has the Tianling staff, that is also our number 1 beauty's ability. If you have the ability, let Yiqing Luo also get a Tianling staff. The onlookers argued incessantly. Suddenly, a sharp voice joined the discussion. Does Sister Qianqian need to be jealous of that slut Yiqing Luo's beauty? Can that little slut compare to our Qianqian Jie? Sister Qianqian, what's wrong with using the Tianling staff? Why don't you say that Yiqing Luo that slut's weapon? Isn't it the glower flame fan which the Overlord gave her? Do you think that you can casually control the Tianling staff and release its power? If it wasn't for Sister Qianqian's profound strength being stable, there was simply no way for her to display the might of the Sky Silk Staff. These attacks of the Sky Mist staff are all executed by relying on my Sister Qianqian's strength. Sentence after sentence of ear-piercing discrimination suppressed Yiqing Luo's brainless fans. Everyone looked over and saw a faction sitting in a corner. There were about 100 people in the faction's area, and they were all wearing the same clothes. There was a metal pin to their chests, and the word "kill" was engraved on it. Killing God Mercenary Group's territory. The onlookers immediately understood. Zi Qianqian was the vice group leader of the Death God Mercenary Group, so naturally he would speak up for Yiqing Luo. Executive leader Wei Bei Lai frowned as he stared fixedly at the battle situation on the stage. To be able to force Qianqian to take out her Sky Silk Staff, Yiqing Luo is indeed formidable. What's so great about her? Sister Qianqian is too lazy to waste time with her, which is why she used the Tianling staff to end the battle quickly. Nangong Lin coldly snorted. Nangong Firen scolded her younger sister in a deep voice. The injuries she had suffered in the tomb of the Ling King had actually not allowed Nangong Lin to learn how to grow. Nangong Lin pursed her lips. Although she looked displeased, she didn't say anything else. Only then did Nangong Firen look at the arena again. His eyes reflected the red figure that was constantly running. In this match, even if Qianqian takes out the sky silk staff, I'm afraid it will be very strenuous. As soon as Nangong Firen's voice fell, Nangong Lin's eyes widened in disbelief. Brother, you mean Sister Qianqian will lose? Don't you know Sister Qianqian's strength very well? How could that little bitch beat Sister Qianqian? Nangong Firen cast a sidelong glance at her with a hint of warning in her eyes. Then, she said faintly, the Tianling staff consumes too much dark force. Miss Ye's reaction speed is extremely fast and she keeps moving out of the Tianling staff's attack range. This is a competition of endurance. Wei Bailey's frown deepened. Since the last time we met that Miss Yi, how much, do you think her strength has increased? Even I am no match for her now, Nangong Firen replied seriously. The last time in Ling Ling King's tomb, their Azura group were tormented by the corpse puppets and king corpses. In the end, only the few of them were left alive. It wasn't because they didn't have enough strength. Otherwise, even they would have died in Ling Ling King's tomb. But under that situation, they knew nothing about Ling Ling King's tomb. Unable to display their skills, they could only listen to Yi Qing Luo's arrangements. At that time, although Yi Qing Luo's arrangements were decisive and neat. But in actual fact, her profound grade was merely mystic profound 8th grade. She had not expected, in less than a month's time, not only did she leap to earth profound 4th grade profound energy outside Ling King's tomb, she had also integrated it into her own body. Apparently, she was doing it with ease. This young lady could really create miracles continuously. The smile on Nangong Firen's lips deepened. Nangong Lin, who was standing by the side, clenched her fists tightly as she pursed her red lips tightly, staring fiercely at Yi Qing Luo on the stage. Damn slut. Chapter 1251. The students who supported Yi Qing Luo, as well as the crowd, were all very nervous. Those who supported Zi Qianqian or hated Yi Qing Luo were also very nervous. The situation on the stage, Yi Qing Luo was obviously battered and in a disadvantageous position. Those 20 over black light balls had completely locked onto Yi Qing Luo. No matter which corner Yi Qing Luo wandered to, those black light balls would chase after her relentlessly. The light balls crashed onto the ground and the entire stage shook. The stage exploded with a loud bang, one after another deep pit, like a black hole. The surprising thing was, those black light balls which crashed onto the ground, or the side of the stage or the enchantment, didn't explode because of this. Those black light balls, after rebounding, once again followed Yi Qing Luo's aura and pressed towards her, totally not giving Yi Qing Luo any chance to take a breather. This situation made the crowd's heart clenched into a bundle of anxiety. Originally, when they saw Yi Qing Luo easily blocking Zi Qianqian's sword moves, they thought that Yi Qing Luo would win without any suspense. But they didn't expect Zi Qianqian to have the Tianling staff, and could even use it to attack Yi Qing Luo. This kind of ups and downs of emotions was really unbearable. Yi Qing Luo displayed her footwork and ran around the stage for a total of 10 rounds. The black light balls were still following closely behind. Every time the light balls were about to land on her, Yi Qing Luo was able to evade them. She spent an entire incense's time with the black light balls. The black light balls didn't leave any marks on Yi Qing Luo's body. Yi Qing Luo squinted her beautiful eyes as her footsteps moved swiftly. The swoosh swoosh sound behind her seemed to be getting closer and closer to her. She didn't look back, paying attention to the distance between the light balls and herself. Instead, she focused her vision on Zi Qianqian. While avoiding the light balls, she was observing Zi Qianqian's situation. If she didn't guess wrongly, the usage of the Tianling staff required a huge amount of profound energy. Like Zi Qianqian, using the Tianling staff to cast so many locking light balls, the profound energy in his body should have been depleted. Otherwise, Zi Qianqian would definitely not be like this, standing in the middle of the stage, looking at her with a gloomy and vicious look. She, who was being chased by the ball of light, had no way of fighting Zi Qianqian. If she was Zi Qianqian, she would definitely not let go of this opportunity. However, Zi Qianqian did not move. This also meant that Zi Qianqian did not have the ability to attack her now. The corners of Yiqing Luo's lips curled into a cold arc as her eyes were filled with charm. She moved her 5 fingers, and the glowing flame fan instantly unfolded. A bewitching red light shot out from his palm. She injected her profound energy into the glowing flame fan, and it immediately spun like a flying dagger. With an extremely fast speed, it flew straight towards Zi Qianqian. The red light was like a hot knife through butter, as fast as lightning. In the blink of an eye, it had closed in on Zi Qianqian. At the same time, Yiqing Luo's feet took a turn and she directly charged towards Zi Qianqian. 2 shadows that looked like burning flames attacked him head-on, bringing with them a terrifying killing intent. Zi Qianqian was so shocked that her face turned pale. Yiqing Luo. This was already the strongest killing move of the Tianling staff. As long as one light ball hit Yiqing Luo, Yiqing Luo would die on this stage today. As long as Yiqing Luo didn't fall, these 20 over black light balls would absolutely not stop chasing. Even if Yiqing Luo could hide for a while, she absolutely could not hide forever. Just a little while more, Yiqing Luo would die under the light balls. Chapter 1252. Just as the red light was nearing, Zi Qianqian immediately raised her staff and struck it fiercely. That staff and the glowing fan collided. 2 bursts of profound qi intertwined, like streams of airflow, intertwining with each other. The glowing fan maintained its rotation, releasing an oppressive pressure, suppressing the Tianling staff bit by bit. Zi Qianqian only felt that the hand holding the Tianling staff had become numb under the pressure of this rotation. Clang clang, the Tianling staff and the glowing fan contended against each other, once again giving off an ear-piercing collision sound. The black qi of the Tianling staff and the red light of the glowing fan set off a huge airwave, covering the entire arena. Even the surrounding enchantment, because of these 2 bursts of strong profound qi, kept shaking. Zi Qianqian's face turned paler. Releasing the black light ball earlier had already depleted 2/3 of her profound qi. The remaining energy was not enough to withstand the attack of the glowing fan. The Tianling staff was forced by the tremors of the glowing fan's rotation, as it kept pressing downwards. Her arm was feeling numb, unable to hold on to the Tianling staff. Zi Qianqian knew that once the Tianling staff was forced out of her hands, she would definitely lose this match. The Tianling staff was her last resort. No matter what, she had to hang on before Yiqing Luo was hit by the black light ball. As Zi Qianqian thought about this, the look in his eyes suddenly became fierce. Her other hand held the Tianling staff, gritting her teeth as she surged the last bit of energy in her body. I will let you see the difference between the Tianling staff and the glowing fan. The Tianling staff's body instantly surged out a current of black qi. That black qi instantly swallowed the red light of the glowing fan. That high-speed rotating glowing fan, one round after another, gradually became smaller. Zi Qianqian's lips curled into a complacent smile, as she heaved a sigh of relief and wanted to show off to Yiqing Luo. A few black light balls suddenly flashed past her eyes. Her smile immediately froze on her lips. Her body had reflexively retracted the staff and placed it on her vital point. Bam! It was another sound of weapons clashing, and immediately the profound chi wave on the arena, which had not yet subsided, rolled up once again. Not knowing when, Yiqing Luo was already standing in front of Zi Qianqian. The golden hairpin in her hand was piercing towards Zi Qianqian's neck. As for Zi Qianqian, he used his sky silk staff to block the golden hairpin. The golden hairpin was just an ordinary item. Under the black gas of the Tianling staff, it immediately exploded. That golden hairpin, Zi Qianqian's expression changed drastically, and he raised his hand to touch his hair. Indeed, it was her golden hairpin. Without the golden hairpin holding it in place, Zi Qianqian's long hair fell down. A few of her hair accessories fell to the ground with her intense movements. At the same time, Yiqing Luo's figure suddenly disappeared in front of Zi Qianqian. Yiqing Luo. Zi Qianqian gritted his teeth as he touched his long hair, his eyes filled with intense hatred. Whoosh, something seemed to brush past his cheek. There was a sharp pain. The sound of something tearing through the air brushed past his ears. It was Yiqing Luo's glower flame fan. Earlier he had anxiously used the Skymish staff to block Yiqing Luo's sneak attack. However, he had neglected the glowing flame fan. Zi Qianqian hurriedly raised his sky silk staff, and was about to break the glowing flame fan. Only to see that glowing flame fan revolved around her, and with a whoosh whoosh whoosh, it spun towards the corner of the arena. Right in front of her, those black light balls, because of Yiqing Luo's approach earlier, had all crashed to the side of her feet. Boom boom boom, bam, the arena collapsed, smoke and dust filled the air. The entire arena could no longer be seen clearly. Chapter 1253. TSK, this Zi Qianqian has reaped what she sowed. Why did she have to use such a disgusting trick? Now it has landed on her. The light ball that she created hit herself. This is the first time I've seen such a situation. That light ball's power is so strong that it can destroy the entire arena. Don't tell me Zi Qianqian was smashed to death by her own light ball. The crowd was discussing in a low voice. Although the voices were soft, but it couldn't be compared to the number of people. The more they spoke, the louder the laughter became. Smoke and dust filled the arena. That light ball didn't explode on Yiqing Luo. One after another, the black light ball was filled with energy as it attacked towards Yiqing Luo's direction. This time, Yiqing Luo didn't take any evasive action. She raised her slender wrist up high, and the spinning glowing flame fan landed steadily in her palm. Her fingertips moved and the glower flame fan swept up a hurricane. She faced it head-on and rushed towards those light balls. Blindly evading was not a solution. These balls of light would pursue her relentlessly until they landed on her body. If she chased after this group of black light balls for a long time, even if it was her energy would be depleted. After all, she was a human and not a god. So, Yiqing Luo had roughly understood from her probing earlier. These black light balls were chasing after her aura. If she used her profound energy to break these black light balls, the light balls collided with her aura. Yiqing Luo's eyes narrowed as the glower flame fan in her hands danced continuously. The crowd only saw a red figure, like lightning, shuttling through 20 over light balls. But moments later, those light balls collided with the profound chi from the glower flame fan, and after a loud explosion, it vanished into thin air. The arena gradually returned to its tranquility. Only the profound energy's airwaves swept up the dust on the ground as it filled the arena. Yiqing Luo kept her glower flame fan and slowly looked towards Zi Qianqian's direction. After the dust dispersed, Yiqing Luo's slender brows creased slightly. She saw Zi Qianqian, who was originally engulfed by the black light ball, standing on the same spot. Her face was filled with horror and fear, but there was no sign of injury on her body. The Tianling staff in her hand was flickering. shining with a dark and mysterious black glow. This Tianling staff actually released a spirit formation to protect Zi Qianqian. As expected of a legendary weapon, it even had the consciousness to protect its owner. When he saw Yi Qing Luo clearly, Zi Qianqian then realized that he had not exploded into pieces because of the black ball of light. His heart was filled with shock and fear, but at this moment, he relaxed. His body began to tremble uncontrollably. When the spectators saw that Zi Qianqian was protected by the sky silk staff, they all fell into a deathly silence. The offensive power of the Tianling staff was beyond their imagination. He did not expect the Tianling staff to have the consciousness to protect its master. To Yi Qing Luo, this was extremely unfair. Although the rules did not restrict the weapons used by the contestants. However, even if Zi Qianqian won today's match, it would not be glorious. One must know that Yi Qing Luo was someone who possessed a divine relic. Until now, Yi Qing Luo had not used the power of the divine relic. A legendary weapon was already so heaven-defying. If Yi Qing Luo were to use the power of the divine relic, wouldn't it be even more heaven-defying? Qian, Sister Qianqian. Below the stage, Nangong Lin stood up and pointed at Zi Qianqian with a trembling finger. Your hair, hair. Zi Qianqian recalled the sound she heard when the glower flame fan brushed past her cheek. Her face instantly turned pale. Chapter 1254. Nothing. Nothing at all. There were only a few strands of black hair wrapped around her palm. Her heart suddenly stopped beating and the blood in her body seemed to have solidified. Trembling hands, she touched upwards. Her fine black hair had been cut off and now it was only the length of her ears. It was Yi Qing Luo. It was Yi Qing Luo who pulled out the golden hairpin that fixed her hair. It was Yi Qing Luo who took the opportunity to use the glower flame fan to cut off her hair. Abominable Yi Qing Luo. How dare she touch her hair? Zi Qianqian was so angry that her whole body was trembling, her eyes were red and tears were welling up in her eyes. When had she ever suffered such humiliation? To a woman, hair was more important than her life. Yet it was cut off so easily by Yi Qing Luo. Yi Qing Luo. I want to kill you. I want to kill you. Zi Qianqian's eyes were scarlet red as she raised her Tianling staff high and the condensed lightning struck towards Yi Qing Luo. The furious Zi Qianqian's lightning was even more violent than before. Yi Qing Luo immediately dodged and furrowed her brows while looking at her. Her lips curled into a sneer of ridicule. Student Zi, you're really silly, using the Tianling staff's ability without restraint. Aren't you afraid that your profound qi will dry up and you'll die? Her words had just ended when Yi Qing Luo's footsteps extended and her figure rapidly turned into a red shadow as she approached Zi Qianqian. How could Zi Qianqian listen to Yi Qing Luo's words now? Yi Qing Luo had ruined the long hair which she was most proud of as a lady, causing her to completely become the joke of the West Continent. How could she still calm down? The staff's attacks were getting fiercer and fiercer. Zi Qianqian's body was also gradually retreating, trying to widen the distance between her and Yi Qing Luo. But how could Zi Qianqian's speed compare to Yi Qing Luo's? Moreover, Zi Qianqian couldn't catch Yi Qing Luo's movements at all. In just a short moment, Yi Qing Luo was already behind Zi Qianqian. A cold smile bloomed on her lips. Your speed is too slow. The cold and bewitching voice made Zi Qianqian's back turn cold as goosebumps appeared all over her body. Immediately after, she felt an ice-cold object pressed against her skin. Zi Qianqian's body stiffened, and he stopped attacking with his Tianling staff. Do you still want to continue? Yi Qing Luo sneered. I admit. Zi Qianqian seemed to be afraid. Her delicate body slightly trembled, and her hands, which were holding onto the sky silk staff, curled up tightly. just as he was about to say the word lose. Zi Qianqian's expression changed abruptly, and he used his elbow to push back. Taking the opportunity when Yiqing Luo was evading, he turned his head around and raised his sky-mist scepter, directly striking down fiercely. Yiqing Luo had not expected that Zi Qianqian would take the opportunity to counterattack. Her eyes turned cold and she narrowed her eyes. Her body instinctively took precautions. With a light tap of his feet, he swiftly retreated. The devouring flame fan in his hand opened up, blocking the attack of the Tianling staff. Bye-bye, the sound of weapons colliding rang out, and both sides felt their wrists go numb. Crack, there was another explosion. His voice clearly spread throughout the entire West Wave Square. It was the sound of a weapon breaking. The onlookers were in an uproar. They squeezed their way to the arena, wanting to see whose weapon had been broken. The red light and the black chi were tightly intertwined. A lady in red and a lady in white looked at each other, suppressing a strong murderous intent. After Zi Qianqian heard that explosion, the expression on his face instantly turned joyous. Chapter 1255. The glower flame fan was broken. Yiqing Luo's pupils contracted slightly. His eyes reflected the cracked gourd flame fan. Subconsciously, she wanted to keep the glower flame fan. How would Zi Qianqian let her off so easily? Let go of the glower flame fan. You destroyed my most precious hair, I will also destroy your most precious weapon. Zi Qianqian gritted her teeth sinisterly, as she injected all her profound energy into the Tianling staff. Black qi appeared. Crack, the strong pressure from the Tianling staff directly broke the glower flame fan. The enchanting glower flame fan broke into two. The entire West Lake Square was silent. The crowd's vision was fixed on the both of them. The sound of the glower flame fan falling onto the stage was exceptionally clear. Yiqing Luo, go to hell. Zi Qianqian's beautiful eyes turned cold, as she arrogantly raised her chin, as her lips curled into a complacent smile. She raised the Tianling staff up high, as she sent the last burst of profound qi towards Yiqing Luo's head. Bam! A loud sound was heard, as a petite figure was flung into the air. A staff suffused with black qi, as it tumbled a few times in the air, as it landed on the ground. A petite figure fell heavily on the side of the staff. That's right, on the ground. On the ground outside the stage. It was Yiqing Luo. The moment Zi Qianqian held the Tianling staff tightly and smashed it towards her, Yiqing Luo's eyes flashed coldly. She raised her leg, and directly kicked Zi Qianqian's abdomen. Qianqian. Vice Group Leader. A group of people from the Death God mercenary group immediately stood up, as they rushed towards Zi Qianqian's direction. Nangong Lin helped Zi Qianqian up, as she was so distressed that she was about to cry. Sister Qianqian, are you all right? Are you all right? Zi Qianqian was still in a daze. Her internal organs were in extreme pain, as though they were about to be torn apart. Nangong Lin saw Zi Qianqian's pale face, as she stared furiously at Yiqing Luo, as she scolded, Yiqing Luo, you slut. It's just a competition, is there a need to be so ruthless? If it wasn't for my sister Qianqian's power, she would have been killed by you on the stage. In the arena, the girl who stood alone in the same spot with her head lowered was silent. The surrounding waves of air swirled around her hair, but they couldn't sweep away the icy aura around her body. Don't think that just because you beat my big sister Qianqian secretly, you've really won. Just you wait. Seeing that she didn't speak, Nangong Lin's mouth was even more unforgiving. Nangong Firen grabbed his wrist tightly. Nangong Firen was about to tell Nangong Lin to shut up. All of a sudden, a cold gaze swept over. It actually caused them to feel cold air invading their bodies, a chill rising up from the bottom of their feet. His gaze was as cold as a sharp knife, filled with killing intent. He did not conceal his killing intent at all. Even the onlookers, who were used to seeing killing, couldn't help but shudder when they saw this gaze. You. Nangong Lin was so scared that her legs went soft and she fell to the ground. A pair of stubborn eyes filled with disgust stared fiercely at Yiqing Luo. After a long while, he finally found his voice. What do you want to do? This is the venue of the interclass competition. What do you want to do to us? Yiqing Luo laughed softly. That laughter was ethereal and pleasing to the ears. But it was mixed with an eerie chill, as though it was a voice from hell. The smile at the corner of her lips was so beautiful that it could topple cities. Zi Qianqian, a student from the class of gods, Death God Mercenary Group's vice group leader, Sky Profound 7th grade cultivator. Chapter 1256. In the interclass competition, you used the Tian Ling staff, but you were still unable to defeat me, a 4th grade Earth Profound practitioner who only used the devouring flame fan. Yiqing Luo tilted her head and smiled coldly. Zi Qianqian, you've really thrown the face of the class of gods. You. Cough. Zi Qianqian was unable to restrain his anger as he propped himself up and pointed at Yiqing Luo with the intention to retaliate. Her body was in so much pain that she couldn't make such an intense move. Yiqing Luo smiled and her smile became even more joyful. Why? Not satisfied? If you're not convinced, then you'd better hold it in too. She then looked at Elder Yunduan. Elder Yunduan, please announce the results of the competition. Yunduan, who was completely stunned by the sudden change in the arena, only reacted after Yiqing Luo's reminder. He coughed dryly. This year's interclass competition has ended successfully. Devil Class's student Yiqing Luo has challenged the overseeing main God Class's student Zi Qianqian. Student Zi Qianqian has fallen out of the arena stage and has been eliminated. Devil Class students have obtained the final victory. No. Zi Qianqian's body trembled as she stretched out her arms towards the clouds. However, her attempts to stop him were futile. She could only watch with her own eyes, as the vice president of the main courtyard passed the medal which represented the ultimate champion to Yiqing Luo's hands. Zi Qianqian could even clearly see, the moment Yiqing Luo received the medal, she shot a glance at her. Ridicule. There was also a look of mockery. The rage in Zi Qianqian's chest grew more and more vigorous. He forced out a mouthful of blood from his heart. Nangong Lin screamed in panic, and the doctor in the medical hall immediately carried Zi Qianqian away. Before long, the area below the arena regained its tranquility. The crowd looked at Yiqing Luo. She let Zi Qianqian leave just like that. Could it be that breaking the gourd flame fan didn't matter? How could she still smile? Yi Feng Yu had the same thought. How important was the glower flame fan to Yiqing Luo? Yi Feng Yu was well aware of this. But now, the glowing flame fan had actually been broken. But Big Sister let Zi Qianqian go. Just as everyone was extremely puzzled, simply unable to see through Yiqing Luo's thoughts. Just as the vice president of the main courtyard was talking loudly, praising Yiqing Luo to the point that she was unrivaled in the heavens. Yiqing Luo squatted down without a word and picked up a broken glower flame fan. Just now, it was broken by the attack of the Tian Ling staff, and the gourd flame fan was broken into 2 pieces. One was by his feet, and the other had been swept away by the shockwave. Due to the previous duel, the entire arena was littered with rubble and rocks. As far as the eye could see, there was no trace of the glowing flame fan. After the glower flame fan was broken, the spiritual chi on it also disappeared at that moment and the connection with Yiqing Luo was also cut off. Yiqing Luo used her bare hands to break apart the pieces of stone and found the other section of the glower flame fan. The main courtyard's vice president wasn't infuriated by Yi-Ching Luo's rudeness. Instead, he looked at the young lady who was squatting by his feet, rummaging through the stones in admiration. He didn't say anything to stop them, nor did he ask the others to help. He calmly announced the end of the competition and returned to his seat. The competition had ended, and the spectators should have left. However, not a single person moved their feet. They all looked at the young lady who was constantly rummaging through the arena. That slender little hand was as fair as congealed fat, so delicate that it would turn red if she pinched it. But she kept on rummaging through those stones which were branded on her hands. The sharp stones pricked her hand and fresh blood flowed out, but she didn't care about it at all. Everyone knew what she was looking for, her exclusive weapon. Chapter 1257. In the hearts of the crowd, there was a surge of surging tide, driving them to do something. But they didn't move. They were all cultivators and had their own weapons. They understood Yi-Ching Luo's feelings very well. Breaking a cultivator's life weapon was equivalent to breaking the cultivator's life. Her own life weapon was broken in her own hands. As the owner of her life weapon, she wanted to find her own weapon. Not to rely on anyone. The onlookers recalled Nangong Lin's words just now. In their hearts, they started to feel disgusted with Zi Qianqian, the #1 beauty in the Heavenly Academy's class of God. It was just a competition. Zi Qianqian had been overbearing and even used the Tianling staff to defeat Yi-Ching Luo. Even breaking Yi-Ching Luo's life weapon. The one who went overboard, it was Zi Qianqian. The crowd looked at her as she rummaged through the stones. Her fair hands were stained with blood and their eyes were filled with admiration. Even those who didn't have a good impression of Yi-Ching Luo had a feeling of empathy, and the way they looked at Yi-Ching Luo became much gentler. All these, Yi-Ching Luo had no time to care and didn't want to bother. Her eyes were red as she rummaged through every corner of the stones. The profound chi in her hand slapped away the broken stones, not letting go of any gap. Glower Flame Fan, she had always thought that the Glower Flame Fan was protecting her. But it was broken in her hands. Yi-Ching Luo pursed her lips tightly and increased the speed of her hands. One hand was about to flip the stone in front of her. Before she could reach over, a pair of long slender legs appeared in front of her eyes, slightly dazzling. Yi-Ching Luo looked up blankly and met with a pair of angry peach blossom eyes. He stretched out a hand towards her, his handsome face was gloomy. "Get up." "Ah." Yi-Ching Luo's voice stopped abruptly before she could say the word profound. Both her hands were covered by two warm palms. Her body felt light and she was forcefully pulled up. "So, sorry." Yi-Ching Luo lowered her eyes. Her eyes were slightly moist. The man's hand gently touched the wound on her hand, bringing a cool touch. The pain gradually disappeared from the places that he had touched. "Do you know what you did wrong?" He lowered his voice, which was deep and magnetic. Yi-Ching Luo's eyelids drooped even lower as she bit her lower lip lightly. "I didn't take good care of the Glower Flame Fan, that's your fault." "Wrong," the man interrupted her and said coldly. "Come back with me." This was the first time Dmo Xian had used such a tone and expression to talk to her. Yi-Ching Luo's eyes reddened as an indescribable feeling of tears welling up in her eyes. She was not a woman who liked to cry. To be more precise, she never shed a single tear. Even if it was hard and tiring, even if they were facing death. She would never cry. Tears were the symbol of the weak. But, at this moment, when the glowing flame fan was broken, her heart instantly felt empty. That feeling of emptiness made her feel complicated. And Dmo Xian's attitude made the complicated feelings in her heart magnified even more. Suddenly, he had an urge to cry. Dmo Xian quietly stared at Yi-Ching Luo for some time. Although Yi-Ching Luo's head was lowered, but that hair which was blown by the wind revealed that pair of reddened eyes. His heart felt as if it was stabbed by a needle. Suddenly, something softened. Chapter 1258. Yi Qing Luo then reacted. They were still on the stage and there were thousands of pairs of eyes watching her. The current DMO Xian was Supreme MO. Just now, she had almost called out his name in front of everyone. She restrained the emotions in her eyes and looked at DMO Xian. "I'll look for you later, I want to find the glower flame fan." Saying that, she lowered her eyes and stared at the half of the glower flame fan in her hand. Her voice was very soft. "If I can't find the other part of the glower flame fan, I can't be at ease." The glower flame fan that had protected her and accompanied her for such a long time. Even if the glower flame fan was broken, she had to keep the glower flame fan by her side. DMO Xian didn't speak for a long time. Yi Qing Luo pursed her pink lips, her emotions were complicated. But she still stubbornly didn't give up her decision. After some time, DMO Xian raised his hand and flicked Yi Qing Luo's forehead. "Aren't you looking for it? Why are you still in a daze?" Yi Qing Luo suddenly raised her head and her lips curled into a smile, and she squatted down and was about to continue rummaging through the stones. But her wrist was grabbed by DMO Xian again. His gaze glanced at her hands, his voice was slightly cold. "Trying to make me angry?" Yi Qing Luo was stunned, her long curly lashes fluttered lightly. Suddenly, the smile on her lips deepened. She didn't say a word, only smiling and shaking her head. So, DMO Xian was angry, not because she broke the glower flame fan, but because she let herself get hurt in front of him. So he disregarded his status as Supreme MO and rushed to the stage to stop her self-harm, and took the opportunity to apply ointment on his palm. This man, no matter when, he was able to make her heart beat faster. She was afraid that she would really fall into his hands for the rest of her life. Seeing that Yi Qing Luo really didn't intend to use her bare hands to flip the stones, DMO Xian then restrained the gloomy expression on his face. He let go of Yi Qing Luo's wrist and waved his sleeve. A majestic profound energy swept up a hurricane, turning the rubble of the entire arena into a tornado. In that floating gravel, Yi Qing Luo saw an indistinct red glow. Her eyes lit up as she tugged DMO Xian's sleeve. After their eyes met, she leaped toward the red light. At the same time, DMO Xian slowed down the release of his profound energy and the strength of the hurricane subsequently reduced. Yi Qing Luo got closer to that red light and as expected, it was that half of the glower flame fan. She extended her hand and held the glowing flame fan in her palm. Following that, she turned around and returned to DMO Xian's side. Logically speaking, DMO Xian's majestic dark force was so powerful that even the masters and elders present would feel pressured if they were to approach him. How would an ordinary student dare to go near the hurricane that was stirred up by the profound energy? However, the cooperation between the two of them seemed to have been through a long period of training. DMO Xian's control over his strength was not the slightest bit off. Yi Qing Luo's approaching distance and the timing of her stretching out her hand to grab the glower flame fan were exactly the same. Everyone looked at the two of them with a hint of ambiguity and suspicion. "Let's go." DMO Xian's gaze swept across the surroundings as he spoke indifferently. Yi Qing Luo replied softly and followed behind DMO Xian as the both of them walked down the stage. The onlookers were still staring at them suspiciously. Were they not going to explain? Wasn't he going to explain himself? Could it be that they had tacitly agreed to it? But these two obviously had no intention to explain. One in front and one behind, they directly walked past the high profound Class 2's waiting area. Chapter 1259. Yi Qing Luo's footsteps halted as her heart suddenly stopped. She subconsciously turned her head to look at the vice president. Not knowing when, the vice president was already standing behind her as a pair of sharp eyes wandered between her and DMO Xian. Senior MO, you're the elder of the headquarters. Do you know? Your every action represents the actions of the headquarters. DMO Xian's actions had already made the crowd speculate. If DMO Xian was an old man with white hair and brows, the crowd wouldn't let their imagination run wild. But unfortunately DMO Xian was a young man, and he was so good-looking that he was ranked third in the West Continent's handsome man chart. For such a young and handsome man to take care of such a young and beautiful girl, it was unimaginable. How could it not cause a misunderstanding? The vice president of the headquarters didn't hate Yiqing Luo, but that didn't mean that he could accept an elder of the headquarters having an ambiguous relationship with a student. This would affect the image of the headquarters. Vice President. DMO Xian glanced at the vice president indifferently before his vision shifted to Yiqing Luo as he smiled elegantly. She is my proudest student. The crowd nodded as though they were enlightened. They had also heard that the elders sent to the Heavenly Academy were directly chosen to teach in the Devil class. With the guidance of the elders from the headquarters, it was no wonder that Yiqing Luo improved so quickly. Yiqing Luo's innate talent was so strong. If they were Yiqing Luo's teachers, they would also be willing to be so gentle to her. Thinking in this way, the crowd calmed down. Earlier when they saw Senior Mo and Yiqing Luo, it was so intimate. Now looking at Senior Mo and Yiqing Luo again, they only felt that their teacher and student relationship was extremely strong. The vice president took a look at the both of them and didn't continue asking. He only waved his hand and said calmly, "Bring her to the medical hall and bandage her wound. Tonight we will return to the Heavenly Academy, and after resting for 2 days, we will select 10 students from the Devil class to report to the class of gods." This was the reward for defeating the overseer. 10 students could be chosen from the class that won first place to study in the class of gods for a month. Yiqing Luo thanked the vice president. Without exchanging any conventional greetings, she bid farewell and left. West Continent Public Square Town, Restaurant Private Room. The table was filled with delicacies, but no one touched it. Yiqing Luo lowered her head as she looked at the broken glower flame fan in her palm, not in the mood to eat. Little Luo, eat something first. DMO Xian saw her absent-minded look and snatched the gourd flame fan from her hands, putting it aside. Today's match has exhausted so much energy. If you don't eat something, your body won't be able to take it. Yiqing Luo shook her head, her delicate fists tightly curled up. I have no appetite. Seeing this section of the gourd flame fan on the dining table, Yiqing Luo's heart was getting more and more vexed. Her mind recalled the scene when DMO Xian passed the glower flame fan to her. His long and narrow eyes were curved, and his smile was devilishly charming. He said, "This is a betrothal gift for her." Today, she had broken the betrothal gift that DMO Xian had personally given to her into two. DMO Xian remained silent for a moment as he adjusted his sitting posture and turned around to look at Yiqing Luo. His slender hand held her small hand. The other hand lifted her lower jaw, forcing her gaze to meet his. "In the end, why did you let Qian off?" DMO Xian gently caressed her skin, as he asked in a warm voice. Yiqing Luo was stunned. Her eyelashes were like butterfly wings, long and thick, but it was unable to conceal the glint of hatred in her eyes. Chapter 1260. The vengeful her. How could she let off Qian who destroyed the glower flame fan so easily? But at that time, Yiqing Luo did not take any extreme actions. She even allowed Qian to be carried away by the doctor in the medical hall to receive treatment. Yiqing Luo slowly lowered her gaze. Her eyes squinted, revealing a strong murderous intent. "That is the competition venue. If I kill her on the spot, not only will I implicate myself, but also the entire devil class, and the World Mercenary Group." the current devil class and the world mercenary group. Although their reputations had spread far and wide. Speaking of which, she was the only one who was able to intimidate everyone with her strength. Once she dismembered Zi Qianqian on the spot. Not only the Zi family would not let her off. Even the academy would not be able to account for it. Devil classes students needed a place like the academy to learn and grow. She could not implicate the devil class and implicate everyone for her own selfish desires. She could not take revenge on the spot, but she would use her own methods to let Zi Qianqian live. More painful than death. What Zi Qianqian was proud of was just her title as a student in the class of gods. Was just her reputation as the #1 beauty. Was just her skymish staff's power. Then she would destroy what Zi Qianqian was proud of, bit by bit. This match, Zi Qianqian's loss, was just the beginning. She would make Zi Qianqian become the joke of the entire West Continent, and even the entire Nirvana realm. Yiqing Luo's gaze gradually fell onto the broken glower flame fan. Her slender fingers gently caressed the fan handle as her brows turned soft. Moreover, the glower flame fan did not hesitate to sacrifice itself in order to protect my victory. I don't want the glower flame fan to sacrifice itself in vain. Yes, in order to protect you, the glower flame fan sacrificed itself. Dmo Xian's warm palm had already floated onto her hair. His large palm fixed the back of her head. He said in a low voice, "So, all the more for the glower flame fan, at least don't let yourself fall." Yiqing Luo raised her eyes in a daze, looking at Dmo Xian's peerless face. That pair of glistening, gentle peach blossom eyes seemed to sink into the heart of a warm current. Furthermore, Dmo Xian dragged out the last syllable, his long and narrow eyes outlined a demonic curve. Who told you that once the glower flame fan is broken, it is completely broken? In Yiqing Luo's mind, there seemed to be a white light that suddenly exploded. Her charming eyes lit up as she speedily grabbed Dmo Xian's wrist. What did you just say? The devouring flame fan was broken, but was it not completely broken? In other words, Dmo Xian had a way to restore the glower flame fan. Before I answer your question, you have to answer mine seriously first. Dmo Xian's eyes gleamed slightly, his 5 fingers suddenly exerted strength and pulled Yiqing Luo into his embrace. Her face was pressed against his chest. The scorching heat also scalded her face. Yiqing Luo's little hand clutched tightly onto the lapel in front of his chest as she replied anxiously, "Ask, I will answer seriously." Dmo Xian's attitude meant that he definitely had a way to reconstruct the glower flame fan. Why do you care so much about the ghastly flame fan? A low and hoarse voice, like mellow wine, lingered beside his eardrums. Yiqing Luo suddenly felt her whole body go limp. Her little hand instinctively clutched his lapel even tighter. Dmo Xian's voice was even lower. The slightly raised ending syllable, once again made Yiqing Luo's body go limp. Chapter 1261. Just because of this. Dmo Xian raised his eyebrows as he teased. Yiqing Luo was stunned as she loosened her grip on his clothes. She understood the meaning behind Dmo Xian's question. Her face flushed red instantly. If you don't answer seriously, you won't get the answer to the question you want to know. Dmo Xian gave a low laugh. This girl was so adorable that he couldn't wait to rub her into his body. Yiqing Luo buried her head in his arms and dawdled for a long time. After a long time, she muttered in a low voice. She couldn't understand what she was talking about. Dmo Xian didn't intend to let her fool him. His slender fingers lifted Yiqing Luo's chin in a domineering and overbearing manner. Under the reflection of her pupils, her rosy red lips curled into a devilish smile. "I can't hear you." A low husky magnetic male voice knocked into her eardrum. The warm breath fell on her skin and made her feel ticklish. Yiqing Luo blushed furiously as she stared at Dmo Xian angrily. She exerted force and sat on Dmo Xian's body. Her little hand propped on his chest as she put on a fierce look like a queen and said fiendishly, "The glower flame fan is the gift you gave me, you said it was a betrothal gift." After that, she stared at the man's rising arc and gritted her teeth as she lowered her head and bit hard on his lips, growling angrily, "Are you satisfied now?" Hiss. Dmo Xian was in pain as he held her slender waist tightly with one hand and stroked his lips which were bitten. He couldn't help but chuckle. "Little wild cat," Yiqing Luo snorted coldly, "you deserve to be bitten to death. What a shameless beast. Flirting with her at the slightest disagreement." And it was the kind of flirting that made her blush. Biting him was already considered as her mouth being merciful. Dmo Xian saw her blushing face and knew that if he continued to tease her, the little wild cat would explode. He restrained his teasing thoughts and said gently, "Satisfied, satisfied, little wild cat makes me so satisfied, so I decided to tell you the method to restore the glower flame fan." When Yiqing Luo heard that, her expression immediately turned serious as she looked at him solemnly, waiting for his answer. Dmo Xian held her little hand, brought it to his lips and gently kissed it, whispering, "Do you still remember the attributes of the glower flame fan?" Attributes? Yiqing Luo recalled everything in her mind. It seemed like, when Dmo Xian gave her the glower flame fan, Old Man Tsang had said, "The ghastly flame fan is an attribute that can grow." There was only one ghastly flame fan in the world, and it was not as precious as the Tianling staff. It was not a legendary weapon. However, what made people envious was the glowing flame fan's ability to grow. The glowing flame fan could be upgraded according to the user's abilities. Growth attribute. What does it have to do with repairing the broken glower flame fan? Yiqing Luo asked in puzzlement. Dmo Xian pinched her forehead lightly, because it is an attribute that can grow. The breaking of the ghastly flame fan, to the ghastly flame fan, is not destruction, but a new beginning. The more Yiqing Luo listened, the more confused she became. Seeing Yiqing Luo's bewildered look, Dmo Xian sighed and changed his way of explaining, "Before the ghastly flame fan broke, although it was used by you, but to the ghastly flame fan, you are not its real owner. The ghastly flame fan can be restored, but I need something from you." Hearing this, Yiqing Luo linked the words before and after, and immediately understood the meaning behind Dmo Xian's words. Chapter 1262. To restore the glower flame fan, it required a drop of Yiqing Luo's heart blood and her heart bone. Using these two things as raw materials, the armament master would recast the glower flame fan. It would definitely be able to restore the glower flame fan and make the connection between the glower flame fan and Yiqing Luo stronger. "I will use profound energy to extract the heart blood and heart bone for you." Dmo Xian looked at the young lady in front of him, his eyes filled with determination as he gently caressed her cheek. Yiqing Luo nodded, "But armament master, I don't know any armament master." If it was refining pills, she could still volunteer. But refining armaments? She didn't seem to have heard of anyone among the people she knew who studied weapon forging. Moreover, the glower flame fan could grow and was second only to the legendary grade weapon. Ordinary armament masters had no way to restore it. At least, the armament master's grade had to reach armament sect and above. Armament masters and alchemists were similar. From low to high, the order was armament slave, armament apprentice, armament master, armament grandmaster, armament sect, armament emperor, armament immortal, armament god. The only difference was armament sect level armament master was even more difficult than alchemist level alchemist. The success rate of armament refining was even more difficult than alchemist level. Even if Yi Qing Luo knew some armament masters, but there was absolutely no one who could reach armament sect level. The Imperial Palace has one. Since DMO Xian said this method, naturally he knew some armament sect armament masters. He cupped Yi Qing Luo's face with both hands as he closed the distance between them, but... He paused for a moment, and then said with a somewhat cautious tone, the equipment forger was a woman. Yi Qing Luo's joyous expression instantly froze on her lips. Lady? Why were there so many ladies in the Imperial Palace? She frowned slightly as an inexplicable feeling of resistance arose in her heart. An image of Feng Ling holding on to DMO Xian's arm appeared in her mind, occupying her position. Suddenly it flashed and the scene of DMO Xian and Feng Ling getting married appeared in the illusion. Her hands, which were placed on DMO Xian's shoulders, suddenly pinched hard as she snorted, "Don't look for her. Isn't it just a armament sect level armament master? We can slowly look for her. She's not the only armament sect level armament master in this world." But... Is there a but? Yi Qing Luo's eyes opened wide. She hadn't forgotten that the reason why DMO Xian called Feng Ling over from the Imperial Palace was to break the enchantment which the dark forces had conjured. Now, because of the restoration of the glower flame fan, if there was a second wind chime, she would not be able to control herself and strangle DMO Xian to death. DMO Xian's gaze passed over her shoulder and fixed on a certain spot, but, she's already here. Yi Qing Luo froze. Loosening her grip on DMO Xian's clothes, she followed his line of sight and looked behind her. Sure enough, a woman in a light blue dress with long sleeves drifting in the wind slowly walked over with a faint smile on her face. Standing in front of the both of them, the woman knelt down on one knee and paid her respects to DMO Xian. This subordinate pays her respects to Sir Overlord. She paused, and a teasing look flashed across her eyes. Greetings. Mistress of the Imperial Palace. Mistress. Yi Qing Luo held her breath as she turned her head to look at DMO Xian. DMO Xian caressed her hair and waved his hand. Beiyuan, get up first. The woman stood up and walked to the seat opposite DMO Xian as she sat down. A pair of crafty and teasing eyes sized Yi Qing Luo up from head to toe. The relationship between Sir Overlord and Mistress of the Imperial Palace is really good, but let's settle the proper business first. When Yi Qing Luo heard that, her cheeks flushed red instantly. Chapter 1263. In this era, this kind of posture could be considered as immoral. Even between husband and wife, they didn't dare to do such an action in such a noisy place like the restaurant. Yi Qing Luo's only thought now was to dig a hole in the ground and disappear in front of these two people's eyes. In front of DMO Xian's subordinates, she sat on DMO Xian's thighs and even pestered him to be jealous. How would she have the face to meet the other people in the Imperial Palace in future? Yi Qing Luo wanted to cry, but no tears came out. It was all that crazy beast's fault. When he flirted with her, he didn't even tell her in advance that there would be other people coming. Yi Qing Luo raised her fist and wanted to punch DMO Xian. But when he remembered that there was a beautiful woman looking at the two of them with a smile on her face, he couldn't help it. She suppressed her anger and retracted her hand. She stood up and speedily returned to her seat. Lil Luo, Ha, ha ha. DMO Xian was tickled by her actions as he laughed out loud. That peerless face, because of that smile, looked even more handsome. Yi Qing Luo was furious as she stared at him fiercely. Shameless beast, just you wait. Now that your subordinate is here, I will give you face, later your subordinate will leave. I'll peel your skin off in minutes. DMO Xian raised his brows as his eyes narrowed. All right, I will wait for you. The two of them exchanged flirtatious glances, which made the beautiful lady sitting by the side unable to restrain her laughter. She crossed her arms leisurely as she leaned back on the chair, looking at DMO Xian in ridicule. Noticing the lady's gaze, Yiqing Luo was really tempted. Damn it, there was probably no chance for her to establish her prestige in the imperial palace in future. The beautiful lady's beautiful eyes were filled with smiles as she looked at Yiqing Luo's direction and spoke respectfully. I am Tang Beiyuan, the Imperial Palace's armament refining hall master and also the Overlord's exclusive armament master. Saying that, she raised her brows with some interest, but what the Imperial Palace's mistress is worried about will absolutely not happen. Although I am the Overlord's exclusive armament master, but my life belongs to another man. Yiqing Luo heard that and knew that this lady was ridiculing what she said to Dmo Xian earlier. But Yiqing Luo didn't hear any bit of disgust or displeasure. Tang Beiyuan's teasing was kind. Tang Beiyuan was not as well behaved as Wind in front of Dmo Xian. This was enough to prove that Tang Beiyuan and Dmo Xian's relationship was rather harmonious. Tang Beiyuan had just said that her life belonged to another man. This sentence, "You're married." Such a young and outstanding woman, how could she have gotten married so early? Tang Beiyuan shook her head with a bitter smile. We're not married yet, but I don't think I'll have to wait too long. She didn't even have the confidence to say the last word, maybe. Yiqing Luo opened her mouth but didn't know what to say. It was obvious that Tang Beiyuan was genuinely in love with her fiancé. As for the reason why they didn't get married, Yiqing Luo didn't ask too much. After all, this was only the first time they had met. One thing was certain, just as Tang Beiyuan had said, what she was worried about would never happen. I'm sorry. Yiqing Luo opened her mouth gently, apologizing for her action of assuming that Tang Beiyuan was the second Feng Ling before they had even met. Chapter 1264. Subdue. Tang Beiyuan's choice of words seemed a little, this is the first time I've seen such an overlord. Tang Beiyuan propped her chin as her beautiful eyes stared at Dmo Xian's face. The current overlord finally looks like a human. Yiqing Luo glanced sideways at Dmo Xian. Looks like a human. What kind of evaluation was that? Could it be, Dmo Xian didn't look like a human in the past? Yiqing Luo recalled her past self, living like a machine that exhausted all its energy for the secluded Yi family. She didn't look like a human at that time. Could it be that Dmo Xian was the same as her in the past? Yiqing Luo felt like laughing as she imagined the past Dmo Xian. Beiyuan. Dmo Xian berated Tang Beiyuan's name but his tone didn't have any signs of majesty. He looked at Yiqing Luo who was still laughing, as one hand slid under the table towards Yiqing Luo's direction. His slender fingers silently covered Yiqing Luo's legs. Ah! Yiqing Luo's petite body stiffened as a short cry came out from her mouth. Tang Beiyuan looked at her in puzzlement. What's the matter? No, nothing. Yiqing Luo's petite body trembled slightly as she shook her head with a blushing face. His hand actually, using the table as a cover, his fingers gently and slowly brushed past her legs. From time to time, it brushed past her thighs. For the convenience of the competition, Yiqing Luo had designed the uniform to be extremely tight. The trousers below the skirt were almost stuck to her skin. Dmo Xian's hand swept past her tight trousers, which was equivalent to touching the skin on her legs. That layer of trousers made her feel even more itchy. Mistress, why is your face so red? Tang Beiyuan saw that Yiqing Luo didn't seem to be fine and immediately looked at Dmo Xian. Overlord, is mistress feeling unwell? Dmo Xian lifted the teacup elegantly and drank a mouthful of tea. She's thin-skinned and is regretting after you saw her fierce look earlier. Tang Beiyuan nodded her head as she retracted her worried gaze. Mistress, don't worry, I won't tell anyone else in the Imperial Palace about today's matter. Yiqing Luo gave a few dry laughs as her body tensed up. She gave a dry laugh as she turned her head and gave Dmo Xian a warning stare. Where did this beast learn to flirt with girls? Unexpectedly, he actually did such a thing to her under the table. The more she stared, the more she stared. The hand on her thigh became more and more wanton. Furthermore, it faintly brushed past the inside of her great moon retreat, causing her to tremble even more violently. What made Yiqing Luo unable to balance was, the Emperor Avian calmly sipped its tea. Yiqing Luo's little face was burning as she saw Dmo Xian ignoring her gaze. She clenched her teeth and simply picked up the teacup as her other hand slid under the table without anyone noticing and held onto Dmo Xian's large palm. Just as she touched Dmo Xian's hand, Dmo Xian had already planned this beforehand as he held her wrist in reverse. Yiqing Luo struggled and his grip tightened. Just as Yiqing Luo flew into a rage out of humiliation, putting down the teacup and was about to add her other hand into the battlefield. Dmo Xian timely brought the topic back to business. Beiyuan, the glower flame fan is here, take a look and see how confident you are. Saying that, he pushed the glower flame fan which was broken into 2 pieces towards Tang Beiyuan. Yiqing Luo's resistance stopped. At this moment, she had no mood to continue messing around with Dmo Xian. Chapter 1265. Tang Beiyuan fiddled with the broken glowing fan. She glanced at the gap and rolled her eyes. Dizun, are you questioning my skills? Dmo Xian glanced at the young lady beside him. Tang Beiyuan nodded her head as her fingers caressed the glower flame fan and smiled at Yiqing Luo. Mistress, I have 100% confidence. 100%, which meant 100% of the glower flame fan could be restored. Yiqing Luo's eyes lit up as she looked at Dmo Xian in delight. The glower flame fan can be restored. It can be restored. Luckily, the glower flame fan was a growing attribute. There was still room for redemption. His heart, which had been hanging in the air, slowly sank into the bottom of his heart. Her little hand clenched the big palm on her thigh. I'm ready to extract the heart bone and blood any time. Dmo Xian's fingers caressed her palm as he said warmly, you must be tired from today's competition and exhausted too much energy. Forcefully extracting the heart bone and blood will affect your body. Extract the heart bone and blood, preferably in the wee hours of the morning, the second bell. Tang Beiyuan continued. Wee hours. Yiqing Luo looked at Dmo Xian, can we do it tonight? Before that, if your body can meet the requirements of extracting the heart bone and blood, yes. Dmo Xian didn't object. Knowing that the glower flame fan could be restored, and with 100% confidence, Yiqing Luo didn't insist any further. Today's competition was too dangerous and she was indeed tired. After the meal, Tang Beiyuan stayed in the restaurant. As for Dmo Xian and Yiqing Luo, they returned to the dormitory. Yiqing Luo needed a good rest. After the interclass competition, there were 2 days of free time. It was said that because of the interclass competition, the students had been tense for a long time and used profound energy on a large scale, so it gave the students time to relax. In fact, these 2 days, it was to let the students report their results back to their elders. Or stay at the West Square and get to know the forces from all over the world. If he was lucky, he would be able to decide which faction he would belong to after he graduated from the academy in the next 2 days. The 2 of them had just arrived at the entrance of the mansion when they saw a group of students dressed in class uniforms surrounding the entrance tightly. Those students were mostly youngsters. But when he looked inside, he saw many girls who were talking at once and laughing joyfully. As far as the eye could see, there were at least 50 to 60 people. Towards this kind of excitement, Yiqing Luo had always had no interest. Especially now that her mind was preoccupied with repairing the glowing flame fan. But when she passed by the entrance, Yiqing Luo obviously heard those ladies mentioning her name. Not only that, there were also Supreme Mo's words. Yiqing Luo's footsteps halted as her slender brows creased slightly as she looked at those students who were surrounding her. Just as she was about to walk over, her body was forcefully pulled towards the mansion by Dmo Xian. Don't bother about unimportant people. The most important thing now is for you to return to your room and have a good rest. Yiqing Luo staggered a few steps forward as she looked at Dmo Xian in puzzlement. However, she found that his expression was a little ugly, as if he was trying to hold back some emotions. His eagerness to pull her away did not seem to be just to let her rest earlier. Instead, what were those students talking about when they were gathered together? Yiqing Luo turned her head and swept a glance in the direction of the 50 to 60 students. Although she had doubts in her heart, but she tactfully didn't ask too much. Suddenly, a melodious laughter was heard from behind. Brother Supreme Mo, you're finally back. Chapter 1266. A jade-green figure forcefully knocked Yiqing Luo away. Yiqing Luo didn't pay attention and was knocked back a few steps. She looked up and saw Feng Ling holding Dmo Xian's arm tightly. Brother Supreme Mo, Xiaoling has waited for a long time, you're finally back. Yiqing Luo steadied herself and a trace of coldness surfaced in her eyes. How did Feng Ling know that Dmo Xian was Supreme Mo? Why was Feng Ling here? Xiaoling, let go. Dmo Xian's expression sank as his cold eyes swept past the woman who was holding his arm. The disgust in his eyes was obvious. Feng Ling pursed her red lips. It wasn't that she didn't see the disgust in Dmo Xian's eyes. But she still wasn't willing to let go of him. No matter how much Dmo Xian hated her. Dmo Xian couldn't reject her completely. As long as her grandma was around, she could do whatever she wanted without any scruples. Feng Ling restrained the surging emotions in her heart and hugged Dmo Xian's arm tighter. She practically buried Dmo Xian's arm right into that proud ravine on her chest. Brother Supreme Mo, don't chase Xiaoling away. Xiaoling will be obedient and won't disturb you. Feng Ling softened her tone and begged for mercy. Shaking Dmo Xian's arm, it brushed past her proud place. Dmo Xian's expression was overcast and the fingers on his arm were clenched into a fist. His voice was cold and filled with warning, let go. Feng Ling was so frightened by the coldness in his eyes that her whole body trembled, and her heart beat in fear. But she still didn't let go of Dmo Xian's arm. She licked her red lips which were dry from nervousness and simply buried her entire body into Dmo Xian's embrace. Just as Feng Ling was about to bury herself in Dmo Xian's arms, her arms suddenly felt a tingling pain. Immediately after, his body felt light as he was fiercely flung away by a strong force. Ah! Feng Ling fell heavily on the ground and let out a scream. Pain! The intense pain spread from her buttocks. Her whole body felt like her bones were broken and the pain was indescribable. The pain on her body couldn't compare to the pain in her heart. Feng Ling's eyes were red and her delicate face was pale. He actually pushed her away. Furthermore, he had pushed her away in such a rough manner. Did Brother D hate her that much? Was he so disgusted that he felt annoyed just by looking at her? Little Ling, are you all right? Teacher Mo, she's your fiancée after all. How could you treat her like this? Esteemed Teacher Mo, you are our teacher. You should set a good example. By treating your fiancé like this, are you teaching us how to treat our fiancés in the future? The students who were originally surrounding Feng Ling immediately went forward and helped Feng Ling up while defending her. There were a few students who stared furiously at the expressionless Yiqing Luo who was standing by the side. Yiqing Luo noticed it. The students looked at her as if they were looking at a vixen. Ah, fiancé. Even using her toes, Yiqing Luo could imagine what Feng Ling and these students were discussing about earlier. It was none other than, she, Feng Ling, was Supreme Mo's fiancé. As for Supreme Mo, because of her, a proud student, he treated Feng Ling, his fiancé, coldly. Hence, Feng Ling came here to call back her fiancé's love for herself and so on. Even if it wasn't what Yiqing Luo had imagined, but the content was almost the same. Yiqing Luo only had 2 words to express her current feelings. Chapter 1267. Fiancé. Dmo Xian squinted his peach blossom eyes as he repeated the 3 words softly. Feng Ling, who stood up with the help of the students, looked at him anxiously. She bit her red lips lightly, looking as though she wanted to say something but stopped. Dmo Xian sneered as his thin lips twitched as he looked at Feng Ling and repeated the words again, fiancé, Mo, brother Supreme Mo. Feng Ling sobbed softly as her pair of beautiful eyes and eyelashes were already wet with tears. That pitiful and weak look made one feel pity for her. Don't be afraid, little Ling. Even if he's the elder of the headquarters, if he's so fickle and doesn't acknowledge his fiancée, then we'll report this matter to the headquarters. The one who stood out to speak was a female student from High Profound Class 2. High Profound Class 2 had now become a joke. Under Lu Xuelan's intentional embellishment. All the students were certain that this time they had lost all their face and were going to be demoted, was all because of Yiqing Luo's sinister and cunning. The female student pulled Feng Ling behind her and pointed towards Yiqing Luo's direction. Master Supreme Mo, touch your own conscience and say, do you treat her as your student or as a woman? With someone taking the lead to speak, the other female students' emotions were also infected. That's right, Master Supreme Mo, you already have a fiancé, so you shouldn't be so ambiguous with female students. What's more, student Yiqing Luo and the Overlord already have that kind of improper relationship. Student Yiqing Luo, don't you feel guilty for ruining their fiancé relationship? The female students were filled with righteous indignation. There were some female students who could empathize with her and felt that a woman's fate was really miserable as they directly walked up to Yiqing Luo, pointing at her and scolding Vixen. For a moment, the entire entrance of the dormitory was bustling with noise. Dmo Xian's frosty eyes were as sharp as a blade. He lifted his feet and was about to walk towards Yiqing Luo when he was stopped by a gaze from Yiqing Luo. His footsteps paused slightly, and when his gaze met Yiqing Luo, it eased up slightly. Yiqing Luo looked at the 2 female students and raised her brows with a smile which didn't look like a smile. Are you done? The profound energy which was released invisibly made the 2 female students feel pressured. They trembled and took a few steps back, not daring to speak again. Since you're done, then, listen to me. Yiqing Luo took a step forward slowly. The 2 female students retreated in fear. One of them felt her legs wobbling, and when Yiqing Luo got closer, she collapsed onto the ground as she grabbed onto another female student's trousers tightly. The female student raised her leg in fear and kicked the student who had fallen to the ground away. She hurriedly rushed towards the crowd. Yiqing Luo stood firmly next to that female student as she bent down and looked down at her. Last night, at the entrance of a gentle village, I saw you dressed up gorgeously, with a man. Her voice paused, her thin eyebrows slightly raised, and the corners of her mouth carried a teasing smile. The female student's face instantly turned pale. Ignoring her fear, she shouted angrily, "You're slandering me." I was with my classmates at the mansion last night. How could I go to a place like the Village of Tenderness? The Land of Tenderness was the green wooden pavilion of the West Billow Square. An unmarried woman in a land of gentleness, if this matter were to be spread out, her reputation would be completely ruined. The female student's explanation didn't gain the trust of the surrounding people. The students were all pointing fingers at her. Chapter 1268. Yiqing Luo's eyelids drooped as she looked at that hand which was clutching her tightly. She didn't struggle free but only raised her eyes as she met that female student's gaze with a smile which didn't look like a smile. Then which eye of yours saw me spoiling their fiancé relationship? What rights do you have to spout nonsense and ruin my reputation? The female student's hysterical roar came to an abrupt stop. The sounds of discussion in the surroundings also stopped abruptly. Yiqing Luo raised her hand as her slender fingers held on to that hand which was on her lapel. One finger, she pried her apart. Anyone can say such slanderous words and anyone can say it. You just treat it as something which you say casually, but have you ever thought about the serious consequences it will cause to others? Yiqing Luo's voice was very soft but it carried an irresistible charm. The invisible pressure which was released made everyone's gazes unknowingly revolved around her. Easily listening to someone's words, I don't know if I should laugh at your naivety or at your stupidity. Yiqing Luo shook off the female student's hand as she looked at her condescendingly. How long have you known Fengling for? Just act coquettishly, give in and obediently become her tool. The female student's expression changed. All the students' gazes instantly turned towards Fengling. The female student who was originally blocking in front of Fengling also slowly shifted her body as she turned her head towards Fengling, her eyes filled with suspicion. That's right. How long had they known Fengling for? Just based on a few words from Fengling, they had already scolded Master Mo. Those few students who had voiced out earlier felt a chill down their spines as they broke out in cold sweat. The gazes which they shot towards Fengling became increasingly unfriendly. I didn't. What I said is all true, she did it on purpose. Fengling panicked as she stuttered to explain. She had not expected Yiqing Luo to be so quick-witted. Just a few words and she had made those students who were on her side, who were filled with righteous indignation to stand up for her, instantly betray. You. Yiqing Luo suddenly pointed towards that female student from High Profound Class 2. The female student's body stiffened as she didn't even dare to breathe loudly. You said that I have an improper relationship with the Overlord. Yiqing Luo smiled lightly, the smile on her lips was elegant, like a dream or fantasy. However, that pair of charming eyes, which were suffused with rippling light, was so cold that it caused one's entire body to shiver. Let me make a correction. The Overlord and I are in a serious relationship. Don't use the word improper on us. All the students sucked in a breath of cold air. Was she openly admitting that she had a close relationship with His Majesty, the Overlord? Didn't they say that they were master and disciple? Could it be that they had advanced from master and disciple to that kind of relationship? But Yiqing Luo didn't give them any time to digest. Instead, he walked straight to wind chimes. His steps were light and slow, but he carried a strong and intimidating aura. Windling was so frightened that she retreated. She instinctively wanted to seek help from the people around her. However, the students who were comforting her gently and standing beside her just a moment ago didn't seem to see her pleading eyes. Yiqing Luo smiled, her smile was extremely joyous. Those who can be easily persuaded by you can also be easily persuaded by others. She moved closer to Fengling's ear and whispered. The human heart was like this. Listening to the wind was the wind, listening to the rain was the rain. But she didn't know how to personally verify whether it was the wind or the rain. Looking at Windling's pale little face, she looked as though she had suffered a huge blow and was extremely frail. Her smile became even more enchanting and radiant as her vision slowly turned towards the man who was looking at her silently with a doting gaze. Chapter 1269. Hearing Yiqing Luo's question, Fengling's petite body shuddered. Her gaze was immediately glued to Dmo Xian's body, a pair of reddened eyes and her wet eyelashes fluttered incessantly. Just a moment later, the bean-sized tears rolled down from the corner of her eyes. Her pitiful look was obviously begging Dmo Xian not to expose her in front of everyone. Feng Ling was very clear. Under Yi Qing Luo's conscious guidance, these students had developed an extreme distrust towards her. If Dmo Xian denied that she was his fiancée, that also meant that the story she had fabricated earlier was indeed false. Which meant that she was indeed like what Yi Qing Luo said, making use of everyone's sympathy, using everyone as a tool. How indignant those students were to stand up for her just now. After knowing the truth, how indignant they would be, accusing her of using and lying. These students. They would peel off her skin. Just imagining the consequences in her mind, Feng Ling's body couldn't stop trembling. Dmo Xian didn't speak for a long time. Her mood was getting more and more uneasy. Finally, Feng Ling couldn't hold it in any longer and directly rushed towards Dmo Xian's direction. Brother Mo Supreme, quickly answer them. Didn't you promise Grandma that you will do your best to protect little Ling? Feng Ling stretched out her hand, trying to hug Dmo Xian's arm. In his words, he deliberately emphasized the word Grandma. But the progress in Feng Ling's thoughts were completely in the opposite direction. Her hand had yet to touch Dmo Xian. Dmo Xian dodged sideways. Feng Ling's hand, frozen mid-air, looked at him incredulously. That face which made her crazy, had no emotions at all. That pair of eyes which made her intoxicated, was so cold as if it was quenched with ice. He stood there, without any adornment in his master's robe, swaying in the wind, like a banished immortal. His rosy thin lips, bit by bit, curled into an arc which made her sink in. Feng Ling was so frightened that her delicate body trembled, almost crying out loud. From Dmo Xian's action of avoiding her, Feng Ling had already guessed his choice. She is not my fiancée. Dmo Xian's voice was calm, his expression indifferent. His words were like needles stabbing into wind chimes' eardrums. Her head was throbbing, and she could clearly hear something breaking in her chest. Brother Supreme Mo. Feng Ling miserably called out Dmo Xian's name. She could not believe that even if she brought out her grandmother, the man she loved still mercilessly exposed her. Through the corner of her eyes, Feng Ling glanced at the girl who was standing on the other side and looking at her provocatively. His cheeks felt like they were on fire. A sense of humiliation arose spontaneously. The person her brother D respected the most was her grandmother. But now, for the sake of one woman and another woman, her big brother D was even willing to disregard his own grandmother. What was so good about Yi Qing Luo? What was good about Yi Qing Luo? Why did her brother D treat her in this way because of Yi Qing Luo? The more Feng Ling thought about it, the more unbalanced she felt. His hatred towards Yi Qing Luo intensified. Suddenly, a quiet and low voice sounded in his ears. His voice was so soft that only the two of them could hear him. Little Ling, don't waste all the kindness that your grandmother had painstakingly accumulated for you. You know very well that this lord's patience is not good. She is my reverse scale. Just 3 simple sentences, but it seemed as if there were turbulent waves surging in Feng Ling's heart. He was warning her. He wanted to tell her. Chapter 1270. This knowledge made Feng Ling's body sway slightly. Her entire body was weak and she almost fell onto the ground. A bone-piercing chill extended from her feet to her heart. Her entire body seemed to be wrapped in ice. Just because she had tarnished Yi Qing Luo's reputation. So, Dmo Xian also wanted to tarnish her reputation? Because he was worried that Yi Qing Luo would misunderstand. So, Dmo Xian avoided her from getting close to him. Just to please Yi Qing Luo. So, Dmo Xian could ignore her grandmother's kindness. Ha! He. Windling chuckled softly. The pain of her heart tearing made her wish that she was dead. Miss Fong, Senior Master Mo is an elder of the headquarters. I'm very curious, who sent you to purposely defame Senior Master Mo? A clear voice sounded from the side. Yi Qing Luo smiled lightly as she gazed at Fong Ling, or perhaps. You're purely admiring Master Mo, so you're delusional that you're his fiancé. So you intentionally instigated the students, attempting to force Master Mo to accept your disrespectful delusions for your sake. Yi Qing Luo's words instantly made those students who were originally infuriated by Fong Ling burst out laughing. Pairs of disdainful eyes fell on Fong Ling. Looking at Fong Ling was like looking at a nauseating love-struck fool. Fong Ling had grown up in the imperial palace since young. Because of her grandmother, she had always been the center of attention since young, as everyone revolved around her. Since when had she suffered such humiliation? Her face turned pale as tears uncontrollably flowed out. Her teary eyes stared fiercely at Yi Qing Luo. She turned around and covered her face as she sobbed softly and walked far away. A few female students chased after her as they scolded and swore that the next time they saw Fong Ling, they would definitely catch her and give her a good beating. As for the other male students, when they saw Fong Ling's pitiful crying look as she left, they couldn't bear to chase after her. For a moment, all the students were discussing about what happened earlier. Yi Qing Luo guessed. Probably in less than a joss stick's time, the entire West Lawn Public Square would probably know about a lady named Fong Ling, shamelessly deceiving everyone, delusional that she was Master Mo Xian's fiancée. Yi Qing Luo's brows rose as she shot a glance at Mo Xian and snorted lightly. Without looking back, he walked into the dormitory and returned to his room. Although she appeared to be so arrogant on the surface. In actual fact, Mo Xian's actions of avoiding Fong Ling's touch and publicly denying Fong Ling's lies had completely pleased her. Now, Winchim had become a joke in West Billow Square. Yi Qing Luo expressed that her mood had already bloomed. Although it wasn't clear what was the relationship between Mo Xian and the Imperial Palace's grandma. It was unclear what kind of feelings were involved between Mo Xian and Grandma Earth Palace. But the only thing that Yi Qing Luo could confirm was that Mo Xian truly respected the Imperial Palace's granny. Otherwise, Fong Ling would not have used her grandmother to threaten Mo Xian time and time again. For her, Mo Xian rejected Fong Ling. She was already very satisfied. Yi Qing Luo quickly returned to her room, waiting for Mo Xian to sneak into her room to look for her. Mo Xian indeed intended to chase after them. But before he could even lift his leg, those students who chased after Fong Ling had already turned back and surrounded him. The students apologized for listening to Fong Ling's words earlier, and reprimanding Master Mo Xian. Deeply afraid that Master Mo Xian would blame them. Pulling and pulling, they refused to let Mo Xian leave no matter what. With Mo Xian's current status, it wasn't convenient for him to fly into a rage and chase these students away. The crowd surged and one by one, black heads swayed in front of his eyes. Mo Xian could only look on helplessly as Yi Qing Luo's figure slowly disappeared. Mo Xian expressed. Chapter 1271. Three Springs City, the World Mercenary Group's old residence. The students of the Devil class were sent back to the old mansion by 10 horse carriages. They were dispersed and escorted back by the Emperor Palace's disciples. One by one, the carriages entered the old mansion. Zhao Bo and the others stepped forward to carry the youths off the carriages. All of them sucked in a breath of cold air. The youths of Devil class laid in the horse carriage, completely unable to move. The faces of the youths were pale, and their brows were tightly knitted together in pain. There were no scars on their bodies, but they seemed to be in extreme pain from head to toe, as if they were on the verge of death. Zhao Bo immediately ordered his men to gently lift the youths off the carriage and send them to their rooms. For a time, the atmosphere in the old mansion was extremely heavy. No one spoke. Only the pained cries of the youths could be heard faintly drifting in the air. The last carriage entered the old house. The first to open the curtains was Qiao Jin, who was dressed in a red uniform and had his brows furrowed. He carried the pale-faced Yan Xiaoyi in his arms and gently leapt off the carriage. Executive Commander, when Zhao Bo saw Qiao Jin, he asked in a low voice with an extremely ugly expression, "What's going on?" He knew that Yi Qing Luo and the others were going to take part in the Academy's interclass competition. The competition in the Academy had been witnessed by the various elders and teachers of the Academy. No matter how fierce the battle was, it was impossible for him to be injured to this extent, right? Furthermore, based on the strength of the other students in the Heavenly Academy, how could they hurt this bunch of youngsters? Zhao Bo was full of doubts. Qiao Jin did not reply. His face was ashen as he stared fixedly at the woman in his arms, as if he could no longer see anyone or anything in the outside world. "Where is Holy Pirate?" Long Yunzhan's cold voice came from behind him. Zhao Bo halted his steps and bowed respectfully. "Guild leader." Long Yunzhan coldly nodded. "They are badly hurt. Let's ask Holy Pirate to come." Zhao Bo responded and immediately turned in the direction of Holy Pirate's courtyard. Long Yunzhan looked at the back view of Qiao Jin carrying Yan Xiaoyi as they left. He wanted to catch up and wait for God Pirate's arrival. Just as he was about to lift his leg, Long Yunzhan's ears twitched. A hint of vigilance flashed across his indifferent eyes. Footsteps were approaching. Moreover, there were more than 20 of them. He frowned and turned around. When he saw the person behind him, the seriousness on his face eased a little. "Why are you here?" It was none other than Tao Tao. Behind Peach, there were more than 20 doctors dressed in doctor uniforms with medical boxes on their waists. As far as the eye could see, the youngest doctor was over 50 years old. The doctors were panting heavily, and their foreheads were dripping with sweat. When they arrived at the old house, they wiped the cold sweat off their foreheads and looked around. "Captain Peach Blossom, where are the injured?" Peach also ran all the way here. Her delicate face was covered with a thin layer of sweat. She looked up at Long Yunzhan and panted, "Leader Long, where are the injured people?" "I specially asked Peach Blossom 3000 to invite the famous doctors near Three Springs City over. Thank you for your hard work." He was about to ask Holy Pirate to find the famous doctor from Three Springs City, but Peach had already made the arrangements. "Thank you." Long Yunzhan curled his lips slightly, his azure blue eyes revealing sincerity. Peach looked at the handsome face in front of her, and a trace of amazement flashed in her eyes. It was the first time she had seen Long Yunzhan smile. All along, Long Yunzhan had been expressionless and emotionless. It was a little surprising. Chapter 1272. He was still dressed like a nouveau riche. Against the sunlight, his entire body shone with a dazzling golden light. In an instant, God Thief was already standing in front of Long Yunzhan as he held onto Long Yunzhan's shoulder. "Qing Luo, that last didn't come back with you? Don't tell me, you were beaten up badly in an interclass competition." "We won the competition." He interrupted Holy Pirate's wild thoughts. "Take these doctors and check their pulses. We can talk about the rest later." Long Yunzhan coldly replied. After saying that, he led the 20 or so doctors to the youngsters' rooms. The old house, which had been silent for a long time, gradually became extremely lively. The doctor came and went. Zhao Bo and the others listened to the doctor's instructions and ran back and forth to help. Yan Xiaoyi's room. Qiao Jin sat by the bed and used a towel to wipe the cold sweat off Yan Xiaoyi's forehead. That delicate little face was now as pale as a sheet of paper. Her usually fiery red lips were now devoid of any color. His breathing was extremely heavy, and from time to time, he would let out soft moans of pain. Her eyebrows were tightly knitted together, as if she was enduring the intense pain. Xiao Jin's hand, which was wiping her cold sweat, couldn't stop trembling. Seeing Yan Xiaoyi in such pain, his heart ached even more. He couldn't wait to take her place and bear the pain. Xiao Jin was infinitely vexed. Why wasn't he by Yan Xiaoyi's side when they were at the back mountain? If he had accompanied Yan Xiaoyi, Yan Xiaoyi wouldn't have suffered such serious injuries and wouldn't have needed to consume the Imperial Palace's pills and wouldn't have to suffer such pain. His slender fingers curled up the towel in his hand one by one. At this moment, the strong and determined man's eyes reddened. Xiao Jin put the towel into the basin and gently held her little hand. Her delicate hand was so small, yet his large palm could completely wrap around her small hand. Xiao Jin held her hand tightly, lifted it gently, and pressed it against his cheek. Her hands were bone-chilling, just like frost. It was so cold that his body trembled slightly. His heart was aching and filled with guilt. Xiaoyi. Xiao Jin murmured softly, calling Yan Xiaoyi's name affectionately. Even he himself did not notice it. The tenderness in his words could almost be squeezed out of water. His gaze was tender and tender, his expression gentle. Xiaoyi, after going through this, I'm increasingly certain of your position in my heart. When you wake up, when you get better, I will definitely tell you everything in my heart. A pained groan interrupted Xiao Jin's murmurs. Xiao Jin, who had been confessing tenderly, paused. Their previous high morale instantly vanished without a trace. The eyelashes of the woman lying on the bed trembled as she twisted her body in pain. His breathing became heavier and heavier, as if he was suffering from indescribable pain. Xiao Jin held her hand tightly and pressed it against his face. He covered her eyes with his other hand. Xiaoyi, I'm here. I'm here. In his palm, he could clearly feel the movement of his eyelashes. Xiao Jin's heart trembled, and he immediately withdrew his hand. Sure enough, he saw a pair of beautiful eyes that were covered with a layer of haziness. She blinked her eyes in a daze, her face scrunched up in pain. Until Yan Xiaoyi's eyes completely opened, and a pair of hazily beautiful eyes looked towards him. Xiao Jin's entire body stiffened. He was still holding Yan Xiaoyi's hand and placing it against his cheek. Chapter 1273. Yan Xiaoyi's gaze was fixated on Xiao Jin. She didn't speak. He became increasingly nervous. After a while, Xiao Jin stood up in a panic. I just felt that your hand was very cold, so, he stuttered as he explained, his face full of nervousness. He had just vowed that as long as Yan Xiaoyi woke up, he would tell her about his feelings. At this moment those words had long been forgotten because of his nervousness when facing Yan Xiaoyi. His stuttering explanation was stopped when Yan Xiaoyi slowly sat up. Xiao Jin pressed Yan Xiaoyi down in a panic. You can't move around recklessly now. Before the doctor comes, lie down and rest. As soon as he finished speaking, Yan Xiaoyi's body actually fell towards him softly. Then, without warning, she stretched out her hands and wrapped them around his firm waist. That pale little face was pressed against his abdomen. Xiao Jin could clearly feel Yan Xiaoyi's icy cold face through the thin layer of clothing. Xiao Jin. Yan Xiaoyi's pale thin lips opened slightly as she softly called out his name. Because of this action, the wounds on his body were affected, causing a tearing pain. Yan Xiaoyi's eyes reddened, her little hands wrapped even tighter as her voice revealed a trace of grievance. Xiao Jin. Xiao Jin. Xiao Jin was stunned. She wasn't angry at him for holding her hand without permission. And she even took the initiative to wrap her arms around his waist. Xiao Jin's heart beat wildly, his entire body inexplicably hot. He looked at the young girl who was hugging him, his body stiff, his arms trembling as he reached towards her. He wanted to wrap his arms around Yan Xiaoyi. But he was afraid of being rejected by Yan Xiaoyi. Don't tell me, you hate me that much. Yan Xiaoyi suddenly raised her head, her misty eyes looking at him. Her beautiful eyes were slightly red, revealing a thin layer of mist. Xiao Jin's heart stopped, he subconsciously reached out to hold her face, gently caressing her eyes. How could I hate you, Xiaoyi? How could I hate you? I can't wait to like you. How could I hate you? Don't cry, if you cry, my heart will ache. Xiao Jin silently added another sentence in his heart. His slender fingers gently caressed Yan Xiaoyi's eyes. Yan Xiaoyi's little hands tightened around his waist, seemingly enjoying Xiao Jin's touch. She slowly closed her eyes, and the pain between her brows eased a little. He waited for a long time, but he didn't feel the sensation he was expecting. Yan Xiaoyi opened her eyes in confusion. She saw Xiao Jin staring at her, not knowing what he was thinking. Yan Xiaoyi blinked her eyes in a daze, her soft body lying on top of his. The woman's soft and delicate body, especially the softness in front of her chest, was pressed tightly against his chest. Xiao Jin was hot-blooded, and the one in his arms was the woman he loved. His body tensed up and he reached out to pry Yan Xiaoyi's hand away. Ugh, it hurts. Yan Xiaoyi refused to let go. She didn't know why, but every time her body moved, she would feel a dull pain. It was as if his internal organs had been torn apart. Why could he still feel such clear pain in his dream? However, she still endured the pain and only wanted to hug Xiao Jin tightly. This dream belonged to her alone. Only in her dreams did this man belong to her alone. Only in her dreams could she do whatever she wanted to do to him without any qualms. She wasn't willing to wake up, nor was she willing to let go of him in her dreams. This was her dream. So, she could do anything. As long as she could keep him. Chapter 1274. Hearing Yan Xiaoyi cry out in pain, Xiao Jin immediately panicked. How would he dare to struggle again? Looking at Yan Xiaoyi with a worried gaze, Xiao Jin asked helplessly, "Where does it hurt? Where does it hurt? Bear with it, the doctor will be here soon. I'll rush the doctor over to take a look at you, don't cry." Just as he was about to turn and leave, the two hands around his waist wrapped around him tightly, unwilling to let go. Xiaoyi, Xiao Jin didn't dare to move too much, worried that it would affect Yan Xiaoyi's wound. Before he could speak, Yan Xiaoyi held his hand. She pulled his large palm and placed it on her chest. It hurts here, it hurts. Xiao Jin, what do I do? I'm about to die from the pain. Xiao Jin's mind went blank. It was as if a ball of white light exploded in his mind. What did his hand touch? It was as soft as cotton. It was so soft that he subconsciously wanted to move his fingers. And, once he moved, he heard a soft moan. It was alluring. His consciousness suddenly came back to his senses. His eyes fixed on Yan Xiaoyi's body. His hand was still on Yan Xiaoyi's chest. His fingers were bent. It was obvious that he really rubbed Xiaoyi, sorry. Xiao Jin's face instantly flushed red. He wanted to retract his hand, but Yan Xiaoyi seemed to know what he wanted to do, and stopped him in advance. With this pull and pull, the feeling in his palm became increasingly clear. Xiao Jin's body was extremely tense, the emotions in his eyes constantly attacking his lower abdomen. His eyes were already filled with a trace of desire. No, it can't be like this. Xiaoyi's injury was so serious, how could he have such thoughts towards Xiaoyi at this time? Qiao Jin constantly convinced himself. His arms slightly exerted force, wanting to maintain a distance from Yan Xiaoyi. But Yan Xiaoyi was very strong. Under the pull, Yan Xiaoyi's body was already weak, her body fell forward, about to fall off the bed. Qiao Jin caught Yan Xiaoyi in time, the two of them fell to the ground. Qiao Jin acted as a cushion, so Yan Xiaoyi didn't fall. But, the position of the two was a little too ambiguous. Qiao Jin also realized this and shifted his gaze away unnaturally. Xiaoyi, can you move? Yan Xiaoyi leaned against his chest. Her slightly red face was no longer as cold as before. She replied softly, her little hand subconsciously grabbing onto his shirt. Get up first. Qiao Jin's tensed body had already reached its limit. The most torturous thing in the world, nothing was better than being intimate with the woman he loved, but he couldn't and didn't dare to do anything. Yan Xiaoyi suddenly raised her eyes and looked deeply at Qiao Jin. Her hands changed from gripping his clothes to gently caressing it. His fingers were like elves, moving through a layer of clothing. A trace of a smile blossomed on her lips. Didn't you forcefully press me against the table the last time? Forcefully kissed me. You still want to take off my clothes? Qiao Jin's body stiffened, and his breathing became heavy. What, you don't have the guts now? Yan Xiaoyi suddenly bent down and pressed her fingers on Qiao Jin's lips. Only you are allowed to forcefully push me, but I'm not allowed to forcefully push you. Just as her voice fell, her lips had already forcefully pressed on his. Forcefully biting and caressing. She imitated how he had kissed her the last time and returned the kiss to Qiao Jin without changing anything. Xiaoyi, Qiao Jin's voice was already hoarse. There was a voice in his head that kept shouting for him to press down this unbridled woman on top of him. Somewhere in his body, it kept clamoring for action. But, he maintained his rationality. Calm down, calm down. Xiaoyi's actions must be because the injuries on her body had worsened, causing her to lose consciousness. He couldn't take advantage of her. But, this thought just flashed past his mind. Chapter 1275. Yan Xiaoyi's slender and fair little hands were as soft as silk. They bounced on Qiao Jin's chest. Slowly, it slid into his clothes. Her delicate skin came into contact with him without any resistance. Qiao Jin's tense nerves broke down at this moment. His eyes, which were filled with yearning, were bloodshot. Burning with the flames of lust. Xiaoyi. His hoarse voice revealed an irrepressible lust. Qiao Jin reached out and hugged the girl who was lying on him. You asked for it. He was a man. He was young and full of vigor. How could he control himself under the seduction of the girl he loved? If he could control himself, then he wasn't a man. Qiao Jin's fierce and unreasonable look didn't make Yan Xiaoyi afraid at all. Instead, she giggled out loud. Because of her discomfort, her frowning brows relaxed at this moment. If you dare to stop, then you aren't a man. Yan Xiaoyi grabbed his clothes tightly and pulled hard. After pulling Qiao Jin down, she kissed his thin lips fiercely. In this dream, she wanted to truly feel Qiao Jin's taste, Qiao Jin's temperature, Qiao Jin's everything. In this dream, Qiao Jin belonged to her alone. Yan Xiaoyi's kiss became more and more lingering. Qiao Jin turned from guest to host, biting Yan Xiaoyi's lips. The intense kiss raised the temperature of the whole room. The two of them were already entangled. At this moment, Brat, is Xiaoyi okay? I've brought the ghost doctor over. Let's take a look at Xiaoyi and see what's going on. The door was pushed open rudely. God Thief tugged on the ghost doctor's sleeve and swaggered in. Peach, Long Yunjian, and Zhao Bo followed behind. Immediately, there was a moment of silence. The few of them looked at everything that was happening in the room in shock, smelling the extremely ambiguous smell in the air. Both parties froze. Xiao Jin was originally full of lust. Now that he was shocked and being watched, he was so scared that he went soft, soft, soft. He wanted to cry but had no tears. Damn, would he have a shadow in his heart in the future? Would he be able to get better in the future? Damn. He wouldn't be impotent, right? Cough, cough, cough. Holy Pirate, who was the first to react, blushed. He immediately dragged the ghost doctor away. When Long Yunjian, Zhao Bo, and the others came to their senses, they reached out to cover Peach's eyes and forcibly took her away. The door slammed shut again with a bang. Outside the door, the ghost doctor's voice could be heard. If you don't want Miss Yan's injuries to worsen, you'd better stop now. Otherwise, even I, the ghost doctor, will be powerless. You're such an unromantic old man. The young couple is so loving inside, and you have to say such things that spoil the mood. Holy Pirate spat a few times as if he was pulling the ghost doctor away. When Xiao Jin, who was in the room, heard the ghost doctor's words, all his feelings completely vanished into thin air. He stiffened his body and quickly got up. He discovered that the girl beneath him had unknowingly fallen unconscious again. Her little face turned even paler. His brows were tightly knitted, as if he was in unbearable pain. His lips that were swollen and moist from kissing opened slightly, and he kept groaning in pain. Xiao Yi! Xiao Yi! Xiao Jin's heart suddenly felt a sharp pain, and it twitched fiercely. Chapter 1276. While the ghost doctor was taking Yan Xiaoyi's pulse, Long Yunjian succinctly recounted what had happened in West Lawn Square. After hearing that all the students in the devil class had been surrounded by the dark forces, which was why they were so heavily injured. The ghost doctor and God Pirate's eyes met, and a haze flashed across their eyes. He was already heavily injured to begin with, and he even consumed the spirit returning pill specially made by the Imperial Palace. If it was an ordinary profound practitioner, once the effects of the spirit returning pill were used up, he would either die or be crippled. Ghost Doctor's white brows creased, as he impatiently flung Yan Xiaoyi's wrist away. Luckily you've been nourished by last Qing Luo's medicinal pill, and your body's quality has far surpassed ordinary people, so you're able to withstand the backlash from the spirit returning pill. The more he spoke, the more impatient his expression became. You're just a bunch of kids who haven't even grown hair yet. Why do you have to provoke this kind of thing? Troublesome. If it wasn't for the fact that these youngsters had a close relationship with Yi Qing Luo. The ghost doctor really wasn't willing to waste her time refining medicine to treat these troublesome brats. So it's the soul restoring pill. No wonder I can't see any injuries on these kids, but they're all howling like pigs being slaughtered. Holy Pirate suddenly understood and looked at Ghost Doctor. This group of kids are like newborn calves that are not afraid of tigers. They even dared to take elixirs like the Return God pill. Most profound practitioners did not dare to experience the consequences of consuming the soul returning pill. In the case of severe injuries, after consuming the soul returning pellet, the wounds on the profound practitioner's body would heal on their own. After the effects of the medicine dissipated, the wounds on the body would not reappear. However, the wounds still had an effect on the body. Not only did profound practitioners have to endure pain that was 100 times more painful than when they were heavily injured, they also had to. He couldn't find the exact location of the wound on his body or what kind of injury it was. But there was no way to save him. Ghost Doctor. Xiao Jin stood stiffly by the bedside, his gaze deeply fixed on Yan Xiaoyi, whose face was filled with pain. Is there no other way? The moment he opened his mouth, the ghost doctor glared at him maliciously. You brat, you still dare to speak. You clearly knew that this girl's injuries were severe, yet you still did that kind of thing to her. If we hadn't come early, this girl's life would have been in your hands. How troublesome. All he did was create trouble for him. Xiao Jin was unable to refute and lowered his eyes in guilt. All right. Call that bunch of quacks over, and first tell them how to find the location of the wound. The ghost doctor couldn't be bothered to say anything else, she just wanted to resolve this troublesome matter as soon as possible. In his heart, he was already thinking that when Yiqing Luo returned, he would definitely make her repay the kindness, locking Yiqing Luo in the secret alchemy room for 10 days to half a month to help him refine medicinal pills. Quack doctor. Zhao Bo swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Those doctors were the most prestigious doctors in and outside of Three Spring City, and within a radius of hundreds of miles. In the mouth of the ghost doctor, all of them had become quacks. Long Yunzhan's cold gaze swept past Zhao Bo shuddered and reacted. I'll call them over now. West Lawn Square, dormitory. Night approached the hour of Yin. Yiqing Luo's eyes were shut as she fell into dreamland. Even in her dreams, her brows were still tightly knitted. It was as if he couldn't calm down. Suddenly, a well-defined finger gently touched her tightly knitted eyebrows. A strong arm wrapped around the sleeping girl. The purple robe fluttered, under the dim candlelight, the fluorescent glow was harmonious. Ah, Xian, stop fooling around. The young lady pouted her pink lips as she raised her hand to push away the arm which was restraining her waist, turning over and continuing to sleep. In the next instant, a pair of warm lips had already sealed her lips. The elegant sandalwood scent, mixed with the scent of male hormones. Chapter 1277. Yiqing Luo moaned twice as both her hands pushed against Dmo Xian's chest. But her struggle made Dmo Xian even more overbearing. In just a short while, he made her throw away her armor. She opened her eyes in a daze as she gazed into that pair of tender and sweet peach blossom eyes. Her hands automatically wrapped around his neck as she pressed her lips tightly against his as she murmured, "Ah, Xian." Just as she relaxed her body and closed her eyes to enjoy the intimacy with Dmo Xian. The man who was leaning on her had already moved his body away. The man's scorching temperature suddenly disappeared. His large palm moved her wrists away from his neck. Yiqing Luo frowned in puzzlement. Was the Emperor Bird the kind of person who would give up on conquering her when she took the initiative? It was obviously the kind of person who could turn the tables and forcefully suppress her. At this critical juncture, the Emperor Bird actually took the initiative to stop. Cough. This could be a fake Dmo Xian. Get up and wash up. The deep male voice made her mellow for a moment. Yiqing Luo lazily turned over and laid on the pillow, ignoring him. She was extremely dissatisfied with Dmo Xian's sudden stop. Bei Yuan is waiting for you, aren't you going to get up? Dmo Xian's thin lips curled as his body leaned down once again, or... Do you want me to continue? The man's warm breath sprayed on the skin on the back of her neck. His large palm slowly covered her back. Yiqing Luo's petite body trembled as her cheeks turned slightly red. Just as she was about to avoid Dmo Xian's touch, his hands suddenly pressed on her waist. That faintly discernible teasing made Yiqing Luo's face flushed red like a raging fire, burning hot. Her brain heated up as she simply turned over and grabbed Dmo Xian's deliberately teasing hand as she gritted her teeth and spat out a word, "Continue if you have the ability." The man who was looking at her from a close distance suddenly froze. That originally playful smile on his face instantly turned gloomy. Yiqing Luo raised her brows in provocation as she flung Dmo Xian's hand to one side. Just as she was about to proudly get up, her shoulders sank and she fell onto the bed once again. Then, his scalding hot body pressed down. Yiqing Luo's eyes widened in astonishment, and before she could even say a word, she was fiercely kissed by Dmo Xian. This kiss was different from the past. Instead, it was a fierce, aggressive kiss. It was as if he was really moved by Gu Yu and his feelings were aroused. Yiqing Luo was so shocked that she pushed Dmo Xian's chest. She was still on her period. Dmo Xian wouldn't be that beastly, forcefully pushing her during her menstrual period, right? However, to Dmo Xian, her struggles were merely tickling. His hand followed her body, straight down. It slid between her breasts, Yiqing Luo struggled even more fiercely. Without saying a word, Dmo Xian's fingers swept over the inside of her twin crescent breasts and pressed down hard. Oh! Yiqing Luo's body shuddered violently as her breathing stopped momentarily. Her blushing face was now flushed red, as if it was on fire. He's a heartless beast. He actually used his hands to press down on her. Lil Luo, don't try to provoke a man's self-control. Dmo Xian's low and hoarse voice revealed his deep feelings. There's still 5 more days. I will continue until you cry and beg for mercy. His lips brushed past her earlobe. It made Yiqing Luo's petite body shudder continuously. Yiqing Luo's mind went blank. Even when the man flipped over and got down from her body, she still hadn't noticed it. Looking at the completely dazed young lady, Dmo Xian smiled helplessly. Chapter 1278. This lass usually only dared to show off with her mouth. But if he really touched her, she would be more shy than anyone else. His thin lips curled into a smile, becoming increasingly gentle and pampering. He bent over and stretched out his hand to embrace the young lady who was still in a daze. His other hand went around to the wooden frame and pulled Yiqing Luo's uniform down. His hands moved gently and helped her put on her clothes. His movements were neat and skillful, and it took only a moment for him to tie Yiqing Luo's clothes. During the period of Yiqing Luo's training, Dmo Xian not only helped her wash her clothes secretly. He would also gently help her put on her clothes when she was tired, in order to let her sleep a little longer. He was simply the country's best husband, right? It was until the last straps were tied up that Yiqing Luo regained her senses in a daze. Her flustered and shy gaze met Dmo Xian's eyes and her cheeks blushed again. It's almost time. If you're not ready, you'll miss today's good opportunity and have to wait until tomorrow night. Dmo Xian stopped teasing her, his slender fingers pinched her blushed cheeks. Go wash up. Right. The second bell rang in the afternoon. It was the best time to extract the heart bone and heart blood. She wanted to repair the broken glower flame fan and combine her heart bone with the glower flame fan. Thinking of the glower flame fan, the flush on Yiqing Luo's face gradually faded. After washing up, the two of them hurried to meet up with Tang Beiyuan. When Yiqing Luo arrived at the destination, she was stunned. This was the tunnel where Yifeng Yu met Yiqing Qian and Yiqing Ling when he was kidnapped. Because of the conflict with Wolf Saint Law in this tunnel, the entire broken temple and tunnel had become a pile of ruins. Because of this, there were very few people here. Generally, one might not even see a person pass by this place for 10 days to half a month. Choosing this place to extract the heart bone was the safest. In the ruins of the tunnel, an empty space of about 2 meters wide had been cleared. There were arrays placed around. At first glance, there was a sense of déjà vu, as if preparing to exorcise the spirits. Under the night sky, Tang Beiyuan's aqua-colored dress seemed to be plated with a layer of silver light. She gazed at the bright moon in the sky, her gaze focused and emotionless. No one knew what she was thinking. His entire person inexplicably showed a sense of loneliness. She had an extremely simple and exquisite hairstyle. She had bright eyes and white teeth. Her eyebrows were like the moon, and her eyes were like the stars. She was like a goddess under the moonlight, exuding an extremely gentle charm. Tang Beiyuan seemed to have heard the footsteps and withdrew her gaze. Her lips curled into a faint smile as she looked at the newcomer. "Di Zun, madam." Yi Qing Luo's face turned slightly red. "It's better to call me Qing Luo. We haven't even taken a step yet. It's still too early to call me mistress." He tightened his grip on her waist. Dmo Xian leaned close to her ear and said with a smile that didn't look like a smile, "Nothing has been set in stone yet. So, you've never thought of marrying me?" Yi Qing Luo blushed and patted the hand on her waist. "I didn't mean it that way. That's not what I mean." "Still, you want to get married to me?" Dmo Xian raised his brows as he leaned his face in front of her, his smile widening. "You've beast." He was simply perverse to the extreme. He actually intentionally tricked her into saying something. "No matter if it's early or not, you're the mistress that the Overlord has acknowledged, so you're the Imperial Palace's mistress." Tang Beiyuan smiled brightly as a sliver of envy flashed past her eyes. Yi Qing Luo recalled Tang Beiyuan standing under the moonlight, that lonely expression. Tang Beiyuan had a fiancé, and it was the kind of fiancé that she loved deeply. Why would she show such an expression? Chapter 1279. Dong, the first bell rang. It broke the silence. Tang Beiyuan grabbed Yi Qing Luo's arm and brought her to the center of the array. "Hurry up, after the glower flame fan is restored, I still need to rush back to the palace." Dmo Xian followed closely behind. After the two of them entered the array, Tang Beiyuan walked to the side. "It might be a little painful to extract your heart bone. After it's extracted, your body will take a long time to recover. You won't be as weak as you are now." Yi Qing Luo nodded. She had already guessed this point. "The Overlord will personally extract the heart bone and blood for you. Don't worry about failure. The Overlord will not bear to let you suffer too much. You just need to remember, after extracting the heart bone, you must not leave the Overlord's side." Tang Beiyuan's voice turned solemn. A pair of beautiful eyes gazed at Yi Qing Luo solemnly. "A high and mighty person is not allowed to have any weakness, and you are the Overlord's weakness. I don't wish for any accidents to happen to the Overlord because of you." Beiyuan. Dmo Xian's handsome brows creased slightly, his eyes sunk as he swept a cold glance at Tang Beiyuan. "Ah Xian." Yi Qing Luo hurriedly pressed Dmo Xian's hand. "Miss Tang is right, I will take note." Tang Beiyuan said this to her because she had identified Yi Qing Luo as the mistress of the Imperial Palace. And also because she was sincerely worried about Dmo Xian's safety. Her current ability was indeed not enough to make the people in the Imperial Palace feel assured. Nirvana Realm worshipped Dmo Xian as a god, but there were thousands of people who wanted to pull him down from the altar. She was Dmo Xian's weakness. Which meant those who wanted to pull Dmo Xian down from the altar, as long as they laid their hands on her, Dmo Xian would definitely be controlled. This was also the reason why Ah Feng hated her so much from the start. She could not become Dmo Xian's burden. She could not drag Dmo Xian down. Yi Qing Luo's charming eyes sparkled with a resolute glow. She looked at Tang Beiyuan and confidently smiled, word by word, as though she was making an oath. "Don't worry, whatever you are worried about, I will try my best not to let it happen." It was the same as what Tang Beiyuan had said when they first met, when she thought that Tang Beiyuan was the second Fengling. He returned it to her untouched. The two of them looked at each other and smiled. The second bell rang. The three of them did not waste any more time. According to Dmo Xian's request, Yi Qing Luo sat cross-legged. He began to extract the heart bone and blood. 3 Spring City, the World Mercenary Group's old residence. After several hours of treatment, the wounds on the youths' bodies were finally bandaged. However, if they wanted to fully recover, they would probably have to lie in bed for half a month. Half a month was neither a long time nor a short time. But to these youths, if he didn't train for a day, it was very likely that others would catch up. Not to mention half a month's time. Hearing this news, although the youths were clamoring about finally being able to rest, their hearts were heavy. He had long since gotten used to the torture of training every day. If they stopped cultivating for half a month, how long would it take for them to return to their original level? The youngsters silently cursed the dark forces from the start to the end. After treating the last youngster's wound, Ghost Doctor washed his hands and walked out with a sunken face. Chapter 1280. Ha! The Ghost Doctor sneered. Holy Pirate's smile did not diminish. Old Doctor, to thank you for your hard work, I will personally send you back to the academy today. F***ck off. Ghost Doctor's mouth twitched a few times. He did not look happy at Holy Pirate's gesture of goodwill. Holy Pirate was still smiling as he followed behind him. So many years had passed. The Ghost Doctor was still the same as before, stubborn on the outside, but soft on the inside. Long Yunjan, Xiao Jin, and the rest comforted the injured youths one by one, letting them rest well. The two of them came out of the room and walked down the quiet corridor. The entire journey was silent. After a while, Long Yunjan's cold voice broke the silence. Are you serious about Xiao Yi? Long Yunjan was not a sensitive person. He was completely unaware of the relationship between Xiao Jin and Yan Xiao Yi. If he hadn't seen that scene with his own eyes today, he reckoned that Xiao Jin and Yan Xiao Yi were merely companions. Xiao Jin's footsteps paused. That delicate and pretty face appeared in his mind. His eyes softened as he replied softly, yes. That's a straightforward answer. Long Yunjan gave him a sidelong glance. What's Xiao Yi's attitude? Xiao Jin recalled the past few times when he forcefully kissed Yan Xiao Yi, only to be slapped by her. His heart sank. I don't know. You still haven't told her. Long Yunjan frowned. They were already so intimate, but they still hadn't admitted their relationship. Xiao Jin lowered his eyes, speechless. I understand how you feel. Long Yunjan looked at him deeply, and a helpless smile flashed across his azure blue eyes. I want to say it, but I can't. Facing the woman he loved, he would be nervous. He was so nervous that his mind went blank, and he was unable to accurately express the feelings in his heart. Furthermore, if he told her, they might not even be friends anymore. In order to stay by her side as a friend, Xiao Jin did not dare to say it. But he couldn't say it. But, you and I are different. Long Yunjan patted his shoulder lightly. If you really like her, then tell her your feelings as soon as possible. Otherwise, it will be too late. Xiao Jin nodded silently, countless thoughts surging in his mind. The two of them fell into silence again. When they reached the end of the corridor, the two were about to part ways. Suddenly, a flame flashed before his eyes. The sky was filled with flames, covering the sky and covering the earth as they swept over. One by one, the burning torches fell from the sky. In an instant, all the flammable items in the mansion were set ablaze. The expressions of the two immediately changed. I will go and take a look at the situation. You, Xiao Bo, and the rest, quickly bring the brothers away. Long Yunjan hurriedly instructed before immediately flying in the direction where the fire had come from. Xiao Jin took out the World Group's medal from his bosom and said, Brothers, gather at the backyard immediately and carry the injured brothers out. By the time Xiao Jin rushed back to the backyard, Xiao Bo and the 20 over people were already waiting for him there. Executive Commander, why did it suddenly catch fire? Where did this fire come from? Xiao Bo asked Xiao Jin as he arranged for the other brothers to carry the injured youths out. Xiao Jin's brows furrowed tightly as he shook his head. Jean has gone to hunt down the culprit behind the fire. Let's carry our brothers out first. The fire is burning really fiercely. I'm afraid it's going to reach the backyard soon. At this critical moment, the few of them did not dare to be negligent. The fire was getting fiercer and fiercer. Just as the few of them dashed into the room and were about to carry the youths out. In the courtyard where the fire was flickering, batch after batch of people dressed in black robes suddenly appeared. Chapter 1281. People from the Dark Forces. How could the people of the Dark Forces know that we are in the old house? Xiao Jin's expression instantly changed greatly. On the night before the competition, before the effects of the drug had worn off, they had split up into dozens of carriages and returned to the old house while hiding in the crowd. Even the spies of the 3,000 Peach Blossom mercenary group were unable to obtain this information. How could the people from the underworld know about this? Furthermore, hadn't Yi Qing Luo mentioned that under the Imperial Palace's coercion, the Dark Forces totally couldn't spare any energy to deal with them? These questions, Xiao Jin already did not have time to think in detail. He quickly took out a few coin darts from his sleeves and placed them in front of his brothers to protect them. All of you, leave quickly. None of you can escape. A sharp and proud voice came from the side of the black-robed man. The black-robed man stepped aside, and a graceful woman with a cold and arrogant smile walked over. The woman was also dressed in a black robe. Unlike the others, she did not use the cloak to cover her entire body. Instead, she revealed her face. Xiao Jin's pupils suddenly contracted. Yi Qing Qian. It's actually you. Wasn't this person the slut Yi Qing Qian who had become the laughingstock of Three Springs City some time ago? Ever since that day when she was humiliated by Yi Qing Luo, Yi Qing Qian seemed to have evaporated into thin air. Unexpectedly, she actually joined the underground forces. And they even joined forces with the dark forces to attack them. Call me Protector Hu, one of the protectors of the dark forces. Yi Qing Jian sneered as she looked at Xiao Jin. Her smile was gloomy. Student Xiao, N. I didn't remember your name wrongly, right? Xiao Jin was startled and his brows knitted tightly together. I didn't expect. The members of the newly rising World Mercenary Group are actually the students of the Heavenly Academy, the so-called waste class. If the Academy finds out about this, will they regret placing you in the Devil class? Yi Qing Qian raised her brows as she gave a teasing smile. I heard that you've won the championship in the interclass competition. As an old classmate, I should congratulate you. Her words, her voice, were exceptionally harsh. Xiao Jin's face sank, his entire body tensed as he forcefully endured his rage and didn't act rashly. There were about 200 people on the other side. All of them were profound practitioners from the dark forces. He possessed the forbidden skills and secret techniques of the dark forces. On their side, there were only about 20 of them who could fight. Furthermore, he had to take care of the other 50 or so companions who were injured and unable to move. In particular, the fire in the old house had spread to the backyard. If they really fought, they would never be able to gain the upper hand. I wonder how Jean is doing. Yo, isn't this the other students from the devil class? Why are all of you bandaged like this? Yi Qing Qian didn't care whether those people responded to her or not as she covered her mouth and pointed at the youngsters behind Xiao Jin in shock. A pair of evil and cold eyes curved as he smiled. Oh, look at my memory. I forgot that the day before your match, the dark forces happened to pass by the mountain behind your square. We happened to attack them and gave them some pointers. Xiao Jin's tense body suddenly trembled. His ordinary-looking face immediately revealed a thick anger. Yiqing Qian looked at his reaction and smiled satisfactorily. I'm rather impressed with you guys, to have received our pointers and still have the ability to compete on the second day. That day, she knew very well how ruthless the Dark Coalition was. They were just short of killing these people on the spot. Not killing them was just to make Yiqing Luo lose all her face. To make the devil class which Yiqing Luo led to become cowards who didn't dare to take part in the competition and automatically withdrew from the competition. You're tuning in to the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.